Ileana, please take roll, please.
Vera Woodson,
Present.
Harold Arnhem,
Harold.
Harold Van Arnhem?
Yep.
Harold Van Arnhem?
Say here. Present.
Present.
There you go.
Jim Knight,
Present.
Brian Rosen,
Present.
Cole Davids,
Present.
Arne Halliburton.
Present.
It's now 11:59 p.m.
AM.
11:59 a.m.
Still the OG.
Oh wait, 1 minute. Hold on, 1 minute. Sorry, I did that early. That was the rough draft, guys. You did great.
Now we can go.
All right, I'd like to call into order at 12 p.m. July 10th, 2024, the DDA board meeting. Ileana, can I please get a roll call?
Vera Woodson,
Present.
Harold Van Arnhem,
Present again.
Present.
Jim Knight,
Present.
Brian Rosen,
Present.
Cole Davids,
Present.
Arne Halliburton.
Present.
All right, before we begin, I'd like to welcome some of our new DDA board members who are sitting up here with us today. Sonny, Harold Van Arnhem, thank you for coming to the board. New board member, Jim Knight, thank you again, appreciate it.
Honored to be here.
I think you guys have a lot to share. And I know we have another board member, Mavis Benson, who the city commission will be discussing next week. So we'll hear more on that. With that being said, has everyone reviewed the agenda, and can I get a motion to approve it? And if there's any changes, let us know.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Arne Halliburton,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Harold Van Arnhem,
Yes.
Vera Woodson.
Yes.
All right, moving down to public comments and partner reports. Should we start with the partners real quick, just so I know I see our police are here.
Sure.
Don't want to keep you too long.
How you doing? Jim Schmidt, Downtown Sergeant, Police Department. Last month actually, we made 19 arrests, 21 truck stops on the avenue. There were no discernible crime trends per se. Our primary target areas are the city parks, to include Libby Wesley Park, FD Station 1, Old School Square, the garage, as well as the park, Worthing Park, the library, Marine Way, and the bus stops. We've also had some issues of juvenile disturbances on the beach, as well as on top of the Old School Square garage. Consequently, we have designated extra patrols in those areas to avoid these out-of-town juveniles picking our city to wreak havoc. So that's all I have. If there are any questions?
I want to, it's me.
Oh,
Hello, Sergeant Smith. It's Vera Woodson. I just want to thank you all, because when I come and do my morning rides, you guys have police cars out that are visible, so that when people are patrolling down at Atlantic Avenue, they know that there's a presence there. And I think that that has been very beneficial, especially to the early morning traffic, to slow down, to pay attention, and to also know that we are on guard. So thank you so much.
perfect. Thank you.
All right, keep up the good work. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other partner reports? All right, moving on to public comment. Two minutes, please.
Okay,
And list
hi,
your name and
board.
address.
I'm Mavis Benson, 800 Greensward Court, merchant on the avenue and board member in holding, shall we say. At any rate, I did have the opportunity to look over what you're going to be looking at today, and I'd like to share just a few of the thoughts that I have, thoughts and concerns that as you look at them you may consider as well. I was happy to have been at the commissioners' meeting last night, as they did bring forth some changes they're looking at putting into our LDRs, specifically in space, whether it's in setbacks and so forth on the ground level, or the use of windows, balconies, and terraces. I think we're at a point now, and I'm in a position where I hear from a lot of our residents and visitors that what they really hate to see in our downtown is building too much on too little, so little land. So I think, obviously we learned a lot with Atlantic Crossing, and they did put a lot of good LDRs into the scheme of things, and so I think we're continuing to learn as we see projects that do come before us that are filling up that space. So just look at it and be mindful that, yes, absolutely, we want the residential. That's what a big portion of in our equation, and we want to do everything we can to get residents, because we're a beautiful, walkable downtown, but we need to keep it beautiful as well from a visual for those living here, those visiting here. We don't have to allow everything. Let's find ways to work together with our developers and our builders to make it great projects that are appealing, and we don't feel like we're suffocating in a city of buildings. That's my time. Okay, great. Thank you.
Hello. How are y'all? Bob Cantwell, Heritage Club, Delray Beach, 33483. Barry Tantliff, Major Barry Tantliff for the volunteer police group, has asked me to come and just notify you that we need some more volunteers. We're looking for about 20 new volunteers, and I would just ask for you to spread the word and help us recruit. Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it, and welcome.
Thank you. If I could ask you a question, sir.
Yeah.
What exactly are the volunteers doing? So if I ask somebody, at least I can give them a little bit of insight.
Absolutely.
As to what,
My understanding is I'm a fairly new recruit, but my understanding is our job is to be visible. We do have radios that are directly connected to the dispatch, and so if there is any type of an issue, an altercation, or someone that falls down on the street or something like that, it's to extend the eyes and ears of the police department. It's to stretch, their capabilities and their budget, and just let them know that there's something that needs to be done, and then when we call dispatch, they send the officers to do what they need to do.
And the volunteers at 5 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours?
We do 2 3-hour shifts, typically a week, and mostly we spend almost all of our time in your jurisdiction, which would be up and down the avenue and on A1A. We spend time at the visitor center, all up and down all the stores and everything there on A1A. More than anything else, we get out and just meet all of the store owners and ask them what we can do to help, communicate that back to the police department.
Thank you.
Yeah, more than anything else, just a lot of fun. Thank you.
Keep the
Is there
marriage
a
together,
phone
huh?
number or is there a website or a phone number where we can direct those that are interested?
I'm sorry, I keep walking off.
That's
Sorry, Vera.
Is there a contact or
Yeah,
where
if
should
you
they go
reach-
to the police department?
Reach out
or-
to the police
Very
department
well.
and ask for Major Barry Tantliff, and there it is on the website, or they can contact me directly. Either way, but just if we can get enough volunteers out there on the streets, I think it really makes people feel a lot safer to be here and if we can get it geared up before the season starts, and the more people they see out on the streets with uniforms, I think the more comfortable people feel. Anything else before I slip off again? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gino Taraboto. I want to take a second to introduce myself and say what an honor it is to be here with you today. I am a graduate student at the University of Miami, studying real estate development and urbanism. I've been doing brokerage for a few years in New York and here in Florida, and I'm very interested in doing new development that's going to be affordable housing. And so I'm very keen on bringing together my contacts in capital and obviously my passion and knowledge for real estate development to try to create new housing opportunities for many, many families that can get to know this beautiful city that I've been enjoying for a few years now. That's all, and thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. My name's Jeff Schwartz, 115 Northeast 12th Street, Delray. Here primarily as a resident who has the interests of the future of Old School Square at heart. I've had conversations with Laura Simon, Brian. I'm here today simply to make an offer of support and pro bono production, if there was such a thing. I've envisioned for years doing a singer-songwriter series here in Delray. I've recently decided to add one of my earlier thoughts, which would be a singer-songwriter and author music and book event. If I had a venue that you would want to use, we've had some talk about the Vintage Gym. I could bring a series of between 6 and 10 concerts to the season of November through March with a nationally recording artist, singer-songwriter, and a best-selling author together that I envision a reading, a signing, a concert, a panel discussion talking about writing, both narrative and song. And I think it might have some cachet and be something that might be popular with the residents. And I'm simply offering it on behalf of my website, roamingthearts.com, which is a non-commercial website that supports musicians and authors and artists. And I have contacts in that industry. My son's in the music business as a talent buyer and tour manager. I am offering production service at no cost to the city and a budget, if offered, to make it break even or make money. So I just thought I'd let the board know that as an expedited way to get this out there. So.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. Ann Stacy Wright, 225 Southwest 7th Avenue. I came to say to the DDA board, I've seen your commercial on TV quite a few times. I'm a little disappointed because I don't see anything west of Swinton that's publicized on there. So I'm looking forward to working with you all to make sure that we're included in your commercials. By the way, it's a great commercial. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll continue on to the consent agenda. Is everyone good with the consent agenda? And if so, may I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ileana, roll call, please.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Aaron Von Arnhem,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Aaron Halliburton.
Yes.
On to the regular agenda. First up, development services. First item, 6A, Mr. Costello. Would you like to present?
Good afternoon, board. Congratulations to the new board members. Welcome. Jeff Costello, excuse me, JC Planning Solutions, representing the applicant, Nick Malinowski, with me today. Also is the architectural team with Benjamin of Affinity Architects. I'm going to go through a brief presentation, just an overview. Then he's going to go into more details regarding the elevations. You all may be familiar with this property on the west side of 3rd Avenue, just north of 3rd Street. This was before the board a couple years ago, and at that time there was a yellow building, and at that point we were looking at the adaptive reuse. That did get approved. Subsequently, as we went forward to look at the renovating that in more detail, the structure just couldn't be saved, and so that has since been demolished on the site. And so now the proposal is for a new structure, just so it's vacant to the north. You're all familiar with Josh's building to the north, and then to the south is vacant. To the east, you see where the new buildings have been constructed. The proposed sushi restaurant will be in the yellow building. And then to the west, of course, there's other properties along Pineapple Grove Way. The proposal now is basically a very similar footprint, a 2-story building with a roof terrace, a little almost 6,500 square feet mixed-use building with approximately 3,200 square feet of office, and then a 3-bedroom unit on the 2nd floor, and a 2-car garage for the unit, as well as a rooftop terrace. The proposal is to retain the back-out parking area similar to what was previously approved, which included the driveway to the garage, a couple spaces for golf cart park, and then you need to provide the ADA compliant space. Of course, there'll be site lighting, refuse container area, and fencing in the rear of the building for security purposes. This proposal does include a landscape waiver, which is what was granted previously based on that same layout in the rear. And then there's also a request for a waiver to reduce the front setback from 10 feet to 6 feet to accommodate a unique projecting design for the lobby entrance with this masonry modern architectural style structure. And then also, as you all aware, the architecture of masonry modern or Art Deco go forward to City Commission ultimately for approval. And so that is the request within the Pineapple Grove Arts District. This again is just layout of the site plan. The landscaping, basically it's limited given the site design. It's a 50-foot wide lot on 3rd Avenue. We will be providing the tree grates, meeting the requirements of the streetscape standards. I did just want to touch base with regard to, so here's some of the existing architecture in the surrounding area. And this proposed structure, as you can see, a lot of it is either vernacular or masonry modern type of style. Some is very contemporary prior to, of course, the LDRs, CBD guidelines being adopted. So with regard to, briefly on the waiver to the setback, it really applies to the lobby entrance area, that green portion of the building on the front. Basically the south 23 feet is about 28 feet high lobby area. It's an angle projection similar to what you see in the, does this have a highlighter? Oh yeah. Here we go. So that applies to this area, and then this kind of angles out. At the base, it complies with the 10-foot. To the top, it projects out about 4 feet, similar to other projections that are allowed. And then this is very similar to what occurs on the property to the north. It does, and with regard to the lobby entrance requirements, there are encroachments that are allowed. For instance, awning, projections, and overhangs up to 10 feet. And then even columns, pilasters, and posts up to 5 feet. But working with staff, this just didn't quite fit into the box of those two. So we've applied for the waiver to have this unique design. With that, I'm going to just show these quick slides of the architecture, and then I'm going to turn it on to Benjamin, and they're going to switch presentations. He wanted to go in more detail with regard to the architecture, and I'm available if there's any other questions. Any questions? Thank you. All right, you switch over.
This goes. Good afternoon, Benjamin Schreier from Finity Architects. I'm here today to explain the design of the house, the building in terms of how it fits within the guidelines for a masonry modern building, which is one of the chosen preferred styles for the district. And what masonry modern is defined by is, according to the guidelines, is defined by a rational load-bearing construction technique, punched openings and large expansive, rather than large expansive windows, has a limited ornament, and the roofs are flat and based on pure geometric forms. And then within that, then they go on to outline many other items within it, and we have about 18 different items that specifically address, that are from the guidelines in terms of how it meets the masonry modern form. Ooh, how do I go back? There we go. So the first is load-bearing masonry walls. It's very simple. We have a nice block structure that is, clearly that the gravity goes from top to bottom, and it's a load-bearing wall. Here we have the highlight in yellow are the punched openings in the facade, which is also typical of masonry modern buildings. We also have a perforated screen that's going on the front, sort of gives it what we call a tropical modern aesthetic to add to it. It's something that's unique to the area and adjusting this style of architecture to South Florida, and specifically to Delray Beach, where a lot of the buildings have a little extra charm or something, and we believe this is what's going to add a little extra charm to the building. And I want to go back and point out that that perforated screen also then translates on top of the roof terrace to provide a little shade at the roof terrace as well, on the top and in a horizontal plane. Also typical of the masonry modern are the flat roofs, which we're showing here. Again, another view of the flat roofs. And this is just the emphasis on the solidity of mass. It's as if there's these two blocks that have been carved out of one larger block. And then this is a diagram showing that one of the comments is that the building should appear as it was carved from a single mass. So down below, there is a 4-step process of which we started, let's say, with one big piece of clay. We broke it down into 3 small parts. We further defined them in image number 3. And then in image number 4, it just brings it on home by opening it to the sky at the top there at the terrace. There's a matter of technical with the staff regarding the amount of wall and glass, and we're within the allowable amounts. The windows are recessed from the front facade. That's something that's typical of the masonry modern. It's historically that it's a way to create more shade and protect the windows from the light and the sun. The windows appear as fixed panes. They're large. While they're punched openings, they're just divided into 1 pane of glass or 2 panes of glass at each opening. A tripartite scheme. The building should have a base, a middle, and a top. And this is demonstrating by the use of paint color, material, and such that we are having that as well. The top incorporates an exterior space, the roof terrace, which is something that's encouraged. The middle portion is more solid, and the bottom emphasizes the public nature, this being a retail space down below, that there's the entry there to the left, and then there's an office space to the right. The structural system's clearly expressed. Again, once again, masonry modern. It's just gravity load coming down, coming down. And once again, those re-emphasize the overall volumetric layout. There are, as is encouraged also in the masonry modern, some vertical sunshades and cantilevered eyebrows. So we have the vertical sunshades are shown in purple here, and the cantilevered eyebrows are shown in the yellow. Another thing of masonry modern is that the exterior should be primarily stucco. The building is primarily all made out of stucco. There is a stone accent in the center, which is something that's encouraged as part of masonry modern as well. It's highlighted in the yellow here, although it will be a very dark color. And the windows, again, are simple, geometric, vertically proportioned with few dividing lights. And that's our explanation about how we believe it fits the masonry modern guidelines of the town's LDRs. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Very thorough. Appreciate it. Do we want to open the discussion up to the board?
We do have Amy Alvarez here.
Oh.
If there's, she's in the back.
Oh,
if
hey,
there's
excited to see you.
anything that was, and if there was anything that
Yeah.
city staff wanted to provide that wasn't provided by the applicant. And then she's also here if there's questions from the board.
Good afternoon. Amy Alvarez, Development Services. I don't have anything additional, but if you have any specific questions, I can try to address them for you.
I have a couple questions that I noted. You stated that there was going to be a very dark color down the center. What color are we discussing?
It's right now we're showing it, depicting it as.
You showed it as a yellow, but
It was
yes.
highlighted as yellow, but here you can see it. It's a dark stone.
Oh, a dark stone.
Yeah.
Okay, very well. I also had some other questions because you stated it was mixed use and it's also by the sushi restaurant. And I brought up in a previous vote that there is such an issue with parking in that area. How do you see this helping the mixed use person who rents from the bottom? What type of businesses are you going after to lease that space?
Right now, go ahead, Jeff.
So the client who's building it it's the real estate
It's
office.
oh good. Okay, that's what
Yeah.
I needed to know. Thank you.
Any other
Yeah,
discussion?
just to clarify, the angled piece at the front, the base meets the setback. It's the top piece that
It's
doesn't
4
meet
feet,
the setback.
yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And then the landscaping waiver too. It looks like there is going to be landscaping across the parking. It's just not doesn't meet the
It's
LDR.
just not as wide. Yeah, the requirement is 5 feet, and it's almost 2.5.
Okay.
But with it's similar to what was previous, right? And then we have the overhead power line, so it's very limited with what you can put in there anyway.
Well, I mean, those are basically like 0 lot lines, right? I mean,
Pretty
so
much,
yeah.
Yeah.
As well as the need to provide an accessible parking space, which is larger than a
Yeah.
regular parking
Okay.
space.
Yeah. I'll just say this was a very challenging site. You know, I'm very familiar with the street. Sold a couple things up and down the street. I think it'll be a great addition. And again, you know, the fact that it's open, it's glass, you can see through, you have landscaping in front. It doesn't feel like this variance you're looking for is like impeding upon any of these 2 questions which we're voting on. So that's my comments. Harold, do you have anything you want to say?
It's,
All right.
It's
Yeah.
a waiver.
It's a waiver, not a
Yeah, the
variance.
waiver, yeah. So
It's a low.
I don't really, I'll try to make does someone want to make the motion? Because I see here there's a couple LDRs and that we have to discuss, you know, the waivers as well as the site plan. Can't speak clearly, sorry.
Yes, so you technically can't make the motion, so
Yeah, yeah.
another one of our board members would make the recommendation. And just so I'm clear, one question I had on the parking, so you said it's a real estate office, it's just one use in the
Yes.
ground floor? Okay. And parking is in the rear, is that where you're, right. Thank you.
It's been a while, but I'll take a stab at making the motion. Pursuant to Land Development Regulations, Article 8.2, the Downtown Development Authority, DDA, for the City of Delray Beach recommends as follows. 1, that the proposed request implements the downtown development plans, Downtown Master Plan, Pineapple Grove Master Plan, West Atlantic Master Plan, and shoppability analysis. You go through
Second.
all of it, or one at a time?
Yeah. Yeah. And then second from Cole?
You mean a second?
Yeah, and then a roll call, please.
Aaron Halliburton,
Yes.
Cole David,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Harold Van Arnhem,
Yes.
Vera Woodson.
Yes.
Again, pursuant to Land Development Regulations, Article 8.2, the Downtown Development Authority, DDA, for the City of Delray Beach recommends as follows, that the proposed request encourages economic development and promotes the downtown as a prosperous downtown area.
Can I get a second on that motion?
A second.
And a roll call, please.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Harold Van Arnhem,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole David,
Yes.
Aaron Halliburton.
Yes.
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
Yes,
so
you
much.
passed
Appreciate it.
unanimously. Great
Thank
job. Good motions, by the way, Jim.
Yeah.
You crushed those.
Been a long time.
You did wonderful. I'm keeping you here. You're hired. All right, I think next on the agenda is the Maxwell. It's the 306 Northeast 2nd Street project. And I think John's going to be presenting that. And I'm not sure if you have to just step down for a second.
You need to go to the back.
He can sit there. He just can't participate. He needs to announce it on the record.
Okay. Gotcha. Perfect.
He needs to do it before we start.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
So before we start this item, I know, Sonny, you're involved in this project, and you may have to recuse yourself. So on the record.
Can I leave?
They said
Only
you can
marginally
stay.
involved. Only slightly involved.
He said you can stay, but you
just need to say.
Yeah, don't
I'll
make
let him stay.
noises.
Don't say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Say that you're recusing yourself from the vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonny, you just need to, Harold, you just need to announce yourself to recuse yourself. If you could just, for the record, if you could just announce yourself that you have recused. Are you recusing yourself from this item?
Yes. I'm the principal in the development company.
And
It's a VAP group,
So you're going to recuse yourself from voting on the item.
and I will not be involved and will excuse myself from voting.
And you will file the appropriate forms.
Yes, and I've signed the form.
All right. I knew we had to take care of a little paperwork there first. And on to John.
Thank you,
give us
Brian. Good
a-
afternoon, everybody. My name is John Kinson. I'm the VP of VAP Group Development, and we're here seeking approval, DDA approval, for a new project development going in downtown Derry Beach called the Maxwell. It's basically a 4-story mixed-use building containing 23 residential units and about 2,600 square feet of retail space. Set in Northeast 2nd Street, corner Northeast 2nd Street and Northeast 4th Avenue. And this is a elevation from the northeast corner. This is the existing location from the above. As you see, there's actually 2 parcels which are actually unified into one parcel. The south parcel is where the building is going to be constructed, and the north parcel is going to be all the parking for the project. The existing parking lot on the north parcel, and on the south parcel is an existing building. You see this is from the north view, looking at the 2 parcels, just the south end of the north parcel. Right next to the railway tracks, the building's been there since 1948. VAP Group acquired the building in roughly 2005, 2007, when it was the Crossroads Club, the rehabilitation meeting center, and then we redeveloped the property itself, updated it, and turned it into 22 suites, commercial suites, and that's now called Santa Fe Salon Suites, and all the parking is on the north parking lot. Our proposal, this is just a couple of pictures of what it is right now. That's the north view, which is the entranceway. That's the parking lot in the center, and that's the view from the northeast. Some people might say it's kind of like a blighted building, so we're looking to kind of clean it up by putting a nice building in its place to basically complement the downtown look and feel. These are some projected renders, the elevations, the southeast view. Looking at the building, the proposed building in the northeast corner as well. If you see from the northeast view, that's actually the civic space, which is including the right-of-way areas. It's about 2,000 square feet. So it's a large, very cool, large pedestrian-friendly civic space. We have an arcade as well on the north side of the building. That's where the retail is, and the lobby is on the northwest corner of the building. It's a cool 4-story. Originally, we went into the city to try and get a masonry modern building approved, but we were told that that is not one of the styles that the city are kind of approving these days. So we went to an Art Deco, an elevated Art Deco style. So we've gone through many major redesigns, and we came up with this. We're pretty happy with this. Of course, we'd like you guys to be happy with this as well. We think it complements the downtown kind of look and feel of the buildings there. We also have on the west side of the building, which is on the rail tracks. So it's pretty much like a blank wall. So in order to do something on that wall as a homage to Maxwell, which is the building's named after. Maxwell was one of the original designers who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, and he was an avid skateboarder. So we have proposed to put like a cool mural on the on that west wall, again just to break up the sort of the blank wall as per the city code. This is where the building is in relation to other buildings. To the south and the east we have Ocean City Lofts, and then we also have the newly constructed Hampton Inn Hotel. So pretty much we're just utilising the south parcel for the building, and the north parcel is just going to be cleaned up and made to look pretty cool with the parking. We are requesting several waivers. The south of the property is actually a street called Railroad Street, which pretty much serves as an alleyway, as a service street for a couple of the properties behind there. So we are asking for a streetscape width reduction from the required 15 feet down to about 10 feet, just over 10 feet. We're also asking for a couple of setback reductions as well. We were asked to put corner clips on the southwest corner and the southeast corner and the northeast corner of the property. Let me show you one. If you see on here. So you see the southeast, that's good. There was actually this, we've actually given the corner clip on there, and also the corner clip on the northeast, a 20 by 20 corner clip, but also required to add a 10-foot setback, which we're asking basically for a reduction in that setback requirement. Again, the waivers are going to be discussed, I guess, with the Planning and Zoning Board next month. We're also asking for a waiver for stacking distance. We're proposing a gate, an access gate, into the parking lot. Right now, the stacking distance is about 6 feet, so we're actually improving the stacking distance as it is right now to 20 feet. Actually over 20 feet because we're going to leave the gate up in normal daytime hours as well, so it's only going to be more than 20 feet, but we're actually asking for a 20-foot stacking distance. We're also asking for a landscape barrier reduction relief as well, from the 5 feet down to about 2.5 feet in certain areas of the north parking lot. And then we have the site plan, 23 residential units. They're all basically 1 to 3 bedroom units, a nice mix, 2,600 of retail space, with 3 retail spaces. The actual civic space on the property itself is 868, but if you include all the areas of the right of way that it kind of bleeds out to, it's about 2,000 feet. So we have a gated parking lot, and then we have a cool rooftop deck with gym and pool. This is the proposed landscape plan. We're going to try and keep as many of the existing trees as possible, and add new plantation as well, new landscape as well. The access to this parking lot is from the south side. There's a gate, and then the exit is from the north side. It's going to be a one-way flow of traffic. We also have this, just an example of the residential floor plans. 1 bedroom floor plan, 2 bed, 3 bed floor plans. Again, there's a variety of floor plans. I think there's about 14 different floor plans in the building itself. There's a lot of variety. There's the spa, the roof deck as well. We're proposing a dog walking area and a cool pool, a gym, and a meeting room as well. So that's on the rooftop. And that's it. Any questions? Anybody? Jim?
I'll start if I can, please. Are these going to be rental or for sale
Condos,
units?
yeah, for sale.
For sale, okay. And the parking, it's all on the north side along the railroad tracks?
That's correct,
there?
yes. Yeah.
And are you going to cover that parking? I'm just thinking about if I'm a condo buyer, I'd like to have my car out of the weather if possible.
Yeah, we
This is
looked at
Carter.
that.
Carter, my colleague.
Hi, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for VAP Group. We looked at including covered parking for that, and that is something that we are going to apply for down the line. But this has been such a challenging site to design for and to build on that we decided we didn't want to further complicate anything by including parking at this time. But yes, we are planning to offer that.
I will say it's a lot better looking than what sits there today, and certainly think it's a good project for the community.
I also had some questions, but I echo the question of whether or not it was condos or rentals. And we can talk about affordable housing at a later date, which should be imminent. but you stated that you have 3 retail spaces.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any current leasing agreements or projected leasing agreements with anyone, or what type of retail will be there? And the reason why I ask is because you're going to have an open and closed gate situation. So
Okay, so the gate is designed so that the gate stays open during the day, so that the traffic can flow freely, and then it will close at night when it would be most important for residents to have secured parking. So I don't anticipate that we will end up with any restaurant use there.
Okay.
We have talked about wanting to put in a bodega, because we lost our bodega downtown, and we thought that might be a really nice addition to that space. So we've talked to a variety of people, but nobody has indicated a firm commitment yet.
If I can add, just for clarification of
Totally
the
felt
parking
you
and,
wanting to say
and
something.
the gate, to comply with the LDR and access of all of the parking spaces that are being provided, the gate will be required. So it's not really an option. It'll be required to be open during the commercial hours of operation.
Okay. I think that was it for me.
Anyone else? A couple quick questions. Just I was trying to see how the sidewalk fits into the project, because a lot of the pictures was hard to just see. I just want to make sure. I know the city would require the connectivity, and I know you were looking to push some setbacks from like 10 to 0, specifically on that northeast 4th Avenue corner.
I wish we had included a better view of this, but so pushing that setback does not affect the sidewalks at all. It's simply pushing, because the corner clips are now required and the 20-foot corner clips are now required, it allows us to go take our space right up to the corner clip, but it does not impact any of the walkways at all.
Gotcha. And this is still to go through the city, or has gone through the city?
Right, so the project is still in technical review. It will start going, as it is now before you, going through all of the review boards. I believe they're going to Planning and Zoning Board next week.
That's correct, yes.
Next month.
Oh, not until next. Yes, you're right.
Not until next month.
8/12.
The last project was next week. So we're anticipating them going to Planning and Zoning Board because they are still in the technical review process and addressing some of the issues. I rambled on. I don't remember your question. Hopefully,
it just had to do with when they went from 10 feet to 0 feet,
Okay.
and I got the corner clip. Then I was
Yes.
looking at the pictures, and it almost looked like I just didn't see like the sidewalk very clearly. So I just want to make sure. Again, I know that it kind of has to be there, but
Right. There is a minimum 15-foot streetscape that is required in the
Right.
CBD, 4-foot clear zone, 6-foot, and these are minimum 6-foot pedestrian clear zone, and then the rest of it. But
Yeah.
if they're going to the 0, they're still providing.
yeah, I figured that. It just the pictures weren't illustrating it well. And then the stacking again, I'll just leave that to the city for the gate and security from 20 to 100, feet, from 100 to 20. But that being said, looks like great. Again, I know this has been a long time coming, this project. So.
Chair, I did have one other question. I assume the building corner clip was for the site triangle, is that correct?
Correct.
So people can see when
Yep.
you get into the intersection?
Correct.
City engineer, yeah.
Well, yeah, right. The corner clip is, it's a right-of-way dedication, so it's not just about addressing the site visibility triangle. It's so that, it's an
I guess
area that
my comment, Amy, is it addressing the site visibility triangle? Are they?
As far as I know, they are compliant with the site visibility.
Great. That was it.
I just have one. Are you finished, Brian? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the sidewalk question regarding, it's covered, correct? The sidewalk is there's a covered walkway now.
In front of the all of the retail, that is it's an arcade and it is covered.
Okay. And is there a divider is there more sidewalk on outside the covering, or is all?
Yes,
there will
there's street parking that goes
Mhm.
up to, so you have to walk through the arcade. There is not a pathway outside the arcade to walk.
Okay, so
the arcade is 10 feet wide.
Okay.
There's a small amount, but it's basically where the cars are parking. You can open your car door.
Just the reason so there is accessibility to the front of those businesses, because sometimes we see if there's a barrier, there's less intent to walk up to those shops or offices, whatever's there. So making sure that there's accessibility to the front of the buildings makes it a little bit more successful. So that's it. Thank you.
All right. Can I get a motion? Jimmy did so good last time.
We'll be happy to try again. Pursuant to the Land Development Regulations, Article 8.2, the Downtown Development Authority, DDA, for the City of Delray Beach recommends as follows. 1, that the proposed request implements the Downtown Development Plan, Downtown Master Plan, Pineapple Grove Master Plan, West Atlantic Master Plan, and the shoppability analysis.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
And a roll call, please.
Arnold Burton,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Harold Van Arnhem. Oh, sorry. Vera Woodson.
Yes.
Next one, pursuant to Land Development Regulations, Article 8.2, the Downtown Development Authority, DDA, for the City of Delray Beach recommends as follows. That the proposed request encourages economic development and promotes the downtown as a prosperous downtown area.
May I get a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole David,
Yes.
Arnold Burton,
Yes.
and Harold Van Arnhem has recused himself from this item.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Good luck.
everybody.
High density CBD railroad, higher density in that specific is 30 units per acre. Parking is a lot. Moving on, old business. DDA bylaws amendment. Can our esteemed legal counsel, Quentin Morgan, please bring us up to speed?
Yes, sir. The item is back before you for final approval. At the last meeting, I brought the item with the changes for discussion, and there was discussion had and additional changes were made and sent out to you all within the guidelines. So unless there's any questions or comments or additions, deletions, a motion would be appropriate.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Arnold Burton,
Yes.
Cole David,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Harold Van Arnhem,
Yes. Yes.
Vera Woodson.
Yes.
All right. That moves forward, and let's move on to the DDA June financials. And I think, Laura, you'll give us a run.
So I wanted to just give the summary. You all have been provided the financials and a summary report of the June financials. And with the revenue highlights, I just wanted to bring to your attention, I said in there that our ad valorem tax, we are at our final installment and actually received that as of July 3rd. So that will be reflected in our July financials next month. But we did receive an additional $22,000 of tax revenue currently in this month, which is our final installment. Any delinquent will be coming if there is. So that would affect our income, our revenue, ad valorem revenue. Sponsorship revenues, as I stated in there, we do have some outstanding sponsorships and events coming up in the next couple months. We have a heavy summer activity, so we do have some open opportunities for additional revenue, which we only account for as we receive that. Guidebook income on the revenue side, we do have a restaurant and dining guide we are putting together this year, and that's in process right now and has advertisement availability. We have secured 2 of 3 of those placements, and we're looking for a third. So hopefully we will have that secured soon, and we can move forward to printing and delivering that by restaurant month, which is September. On the OSS revenues, we did just receive the final installment of that too as well today, so that will be reflective in our July statement as our July financials as well. As far as expenses, under everything is on par. We're in our last 3 months as we move forward, and we're on track with everything. As stated in our expense highlights, we do have expenses that came in for placemaking around the decorative lighting that we just installed on West 5th Avenue on the south and north side. So that is been currently paid this month, so it's reflective as June. Also some additional expenses coming from events regarding our city services, which are invoiced later to us. So those are kind of piling up as we go into these last months. On our OSS expenses, we're on track. We do have also the outdoor temporary art installation payment that is reflective in this month's financials as well. And those are the big highlights. And if you have any questions, and if not, we just need a motion for approval. Thank you.
Can I get a motion? Any comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Errol Van Arnhem,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Cole Devitt,
Yes.
Aaron Halliburton.
Yes.
I want to say thank you for putting together the presentation on what's happened in the last month and giving us a little overview. I do appreciate it. Thank you. So thanks. Moving on to DDA OSS program updates. The team, aka Susie.
All right. Hi, everyone. We had a busy June. We have a busy every month, actually. But the big thing about our summer is our Love Delray campaign, which is a summer-long marketing campaign. We enlisted our businesses to sign up and then tell us what promotions they're running for the summer. And then we put a massive marketing campaign behind that. You can see from these numbers, we've had a significant higher number of businesses signed up this year over last. And that is because of Daniel Morian, who spent countless hours and days going to all of our neighborhoods, including West Atlantic. In fact, 9 or 10 of these businesses are from the West Atlantic neighborhood, to make sure that we are represented across all of our neighborhoods in downtown. All of our downtown Delray hotels have signed up, 13 restaurants, 18 retailers, 14 spas and services, and then 3 in the entertainment category. We broke these down in categories, and it's broken down like that on the website so that people, when they go in there and they're looking for a hotel, they see all the hotels together. Then moving on, sorry, we have some video in here, so I wanted to do this as an MP4. This is a look at all of the marketing that we are doing behind the Summer of Love Delray. We have broadcast TV commercials running right now, connected TV commercials, digital ads. We've dedicated a web page on our website, which is linked from our homepage. We have rack cards. We've already gotten rid of, distributed 2,000 rack cards. We just printed our second batch, and I have them here on the dais here, so you can take a look at them. But it basically lists all of the businesses that have signed up for the Love Delray campaign and their promotion. Fence banners at all the OSS concerts. We have multiple social media posts that have been going out about this. We put ads in newspapers like the Coastal Star, and then our public relations campaign is very strong on making sure that we get earned media for the Love Delray
Have you
campaign.
heard about the Summer of Love Delray? Up to 30% off at downtown Delray hotels, restaurants, and shops all summer long. Scan this QR code now to see our Summer of Love Delray deals and be entered to win a $100 gift card.
Okay, so just really quickly, I want to go back to that. That's one of the commercials that is running. Right now, we are running 2 commercials. This 15-second, which is dedicated to the Love Delray campaign, and we have a 30-second that is called A Day in Downtown Delray. They're both very generic. We kept the Love Delray because it's only 15 seconds, very generic, because we wanted to just get people to click on this QR code, which takes you right to the Love Delray page listing all of the promotions. We have 26 spots that are running on the NBC and ABC affiliate here locally, and so far we've had 9 scans of that QR code. That's not huge, but it is people scanning and going to the website, and that just started July 1st. So that will be running. Those will be running all month long.
Love Delray deals and be entered to win a $100 gift card.
So this is a look at the webpage, the dedicated webpage on our website. So far, since we started this campaign, 3,000 people have visited that page. The average time people spend on the Love Delray page is more than 2 minutes. The average across all of our pages is less than a minute. So it's double what they spend on this page than our average web pages. The most viewed have been Morley, Deck 84, Hampton Inn, and Bounce. As far as the digital ads, so the top is the paid ads and the bottom is organic. So our digital ads are getting multiple impressions, 362,000 impressions, 110,000 interactions, meaning people like, comment. And then conversions is the number of people that are clicking on that link and going to the web page. And then you can see the social posts that we've done to about a dozen social posts since we started this campaign. As far as our public relations team, they're knocking it out of the park as they normally do. We've had 71 articles, let me go back. 71 articles that have been published on that with an audience of 8.3 million. That's how many people are seeing the earned media on Love Delray. The value of that coverage is $111,000. You can't pay for the type of coverage that we get. As far as the results for businesses, because I can show you impressions all day long, but we want to know from our businesses how this is helping them, if at all. These are the 3 businesses that got back to me with their numbers. Deck 84, they blew it out of the park last year because they do a lot of promotion on their end as well. So it is doubling what we're doing with the DDA. They have redeemed 336 Love Delray deals since this started. That's a $30,000 impact for them. As far as Bar Envy is concerned, they've gotten 10 of their packages redeemed at a $600 impact. In Arts Warehouse, they didn't give me a number, but they have had 42 of their workshops redeemed, so people signing up for their workshops, and they're so happy with it that they've asked us to extend the Love Delray campaign for them. They were going to end it in July, but have asked to extend it through August. The Love Delray campaign goes through September for most businesses. Okay, now moving on to some other things that have been happening in downtown Delray. On June 7th, the new shower truck, the ribbon cutting for that. So the Interfaith Committee received a grant to purchase a new shower and a new laundry truck. The trucks are available for the homeless in our community, I think 2 or 3 days a week. Laura, 2 days a week. And just so basically they can clean themselves up and give them some dignity. It's at the St. Matthew's Episcopal Church, which is on Southwest 3rd Street. The other thing that that has now happened is the lights are now up on Northwest Southwest 5th Avenue. So on the palm trees, you'll see the beautiful lights that are now have lit those streets. So it really does make a difference when you're driving on those streets. It's kind of like the cafe lights on Pineapple Grove at night. It just makes a huge difference. This is just a look at our web analytics. I do want to point out here that the Old School Square web page is really starting to be robust. You can tell that because our Downtown Delray Beach page already gets pretty big SEO numbers. But as you can see from this, Delray Old School Square is looking pretty solid at 21,000 page views last month alone.
And that's a separate site, not a page. So yeah.
I'm sorry, that is a separate site. Yes, the Downtown Delray, Delray Old School Square website. Okay, oops, what did I skip here? That's social media, just solid growth in our social media channels. You can see email marketing, 40% open rate for DDA, 49% open rate for Old School Square. This is, again, a look at our robust public relations team. I want you to look at the audience. That's billion with a B. That's the number of people that are seeing these placements across our earned media because of our public relations team. We are constantly in the media, whether it's a DDA event. We put out the press release on the best beach in Florida. We got tons of coverage on that. The Cornell Art Museum, everything that happens there is getting coverage. All of our concerts, we are constantly in the news because of our public relations team. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to BJ Sklar for information about our Visitor Information Center.
Good afternoon. Once again, I am the Visitor Information Center Coordinator. And so, as you can see for our new board members, I will be presenting each month of exactly what has happened in the Visitor Center for the month before. So as you take a look at the June statistics here, you will see that we had 541 visitors. What we do is each shift. So once again, to be clear, we have 14 shifts a week, 9 to 1 and 1 to 5. We are open 7 days a week. So as people are walking in the door and or making phone calls to the visitor center, the volunteers and myself are tracking that information, whether it is at the end of the shift how many people have walked in the door, where they're from, and what they're looking for while they're there. So we're very encouraged because, as you can see, most of the people come in that live locally. And I think that's unusual for a visitor center, that our residents that live here full-time and are snowbirds come into the visitor center. They're looking for information on things to do, updates on events, and so, as you can see, Delray Beach is highlighted and very high. However, the majority of our people throughout the year are from the Northeast, and that's no surprise. But we also work through the entire country and also around the world. So we'll look forward to seeing much more of that international traveler that ends up coming in July and August and September. We have seen over 8,000 visitors for this year. And so just statistics-wise, because I've been here for 6 years, we really have a lot of people that come in. Over 12,000 people last year. Over 12,000 people the year before. So people are using our visitor center. The 26 volunteers that are there are trained to keep everybody in downtown Delray Beach. That's what we want to do. So when people are coming in and asking for things to do, we're certainly showing and selling Delray Beach first. So it's our attractions, our businesses, and our restaurants, and also our hotels. So my job as coordinator is to make sure that they have all the tools at the visitor center, whether it's printed collateral and or using our website to make sure that they know about everything that is coming up. And in addition, I think it's important to know that as coordinator, I feel that we need to also engage the hotels. So I go to the front office staffs and make sure that they know about things that are coming up to get excited for the guests that are checking in. Any questions at all? And I invite all of you to come up to the visitor center and see what we do and how we do it and how successful we make it in pumping, hopefully, very important dollars back into our city. Thank you.
Okay, quickly on the economic development side, this was just announced a few days ago that the Atlantic Grill will be closing on July 17th for renovations, and Michelin-starred chef Michael Mina is bringing his bourbon steak restaurant to the Seagate Hotel. That is supposed to be opening later this year. The other announcement that was made this month, pretty big announcement. We knew that Kapow was looking at downtown Delray and was likely coming to downtown Delray, but it was just announced that Salt 7, while it closed and we thought it would be opening up as a new concept, the new concept is Kapow. So Salt 7 has officially closed, is undergoing renovations right now, and will reopen later this year as Kapow Noodle Bar. Kapow obviously already has or Subculture, which owns Kapow, already has a foothold in downtown Delray. They own Dada and Honey, and they are opening Subculture Coffee in downtown Delray soon. I say soon because it looks like things are getting finalized there. So, all right, and now let's move on to Old School Square. As you all know, we put a lot of emphasis on summer at the square and really activating that space during the summer. Let's bring up Mariska Gatto to talk about the Cornell and what's happening there.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Welcome, new board members. I'm the Cultural Arts Director for the DDA, located at the Cornell Art Museum in Old School Square. So we have been busy in June, as always. One of the big things we did, we had an art exhibition opening with Oceana Phenomena. We also had an art talk during that time with the City Sustainability Office. So that was an opportunity for our artist who is very focused on the ocean. She's a sea captain and concerns herself with the ocean and rising tides. So it was an opportunity to work with the city to bring them in so that we could work together and have a conversation about what the rising sea levels mean to all of us. We had 175 guests, which in June for an opening is big. Our First Friday art walks are pretty large. Our attendance is holding at about 1,000 people per month. So we've had, for the last 6 months, we've had over 6,000 people. We're always busier in the season, of course. And we do have a documentary coming up with the same exhibition in August called Wisdom of the Waves. That's happening August 2nd in our Spotlight Gallery. So we're expanding. So we're not only showing an exhibition, but we're adding to the exhibition to have more play for an exhibition that's happening. And really, our attendance has been great and our donations have been amazing. And that really goes back to our initial philosophy for this year, was to bring in new exhibitions and change out different galleries on a more often basis rather than having the museum closed for 2 or 3 weeks while we change out the whole museum. That's not effective, especially when you're in season and you have people who want to come in the door. That doesn't work. So we're not closing the museum, we're just changing out a room here and there or adding something new. So if people come every first Friday, they're going to see something new every time they come. Really important. We had Central American Modernism is continuing to kick it up for us on the upper level. We had a book talk on their book that they wrote, Central American Modernism, and we had over 60 people in the room. We couldn't bring in enough chairs to put people in the room. It was just phenomenal. We had the Concierge Association of the Palm Beaches tour. BJ and I worked together on that to bring that into the museum. And we also showed some student art, which is Cape Universal students. We did a pop-up in the museum. Always important for us to show exceptional world-class artists, but also children, and give them an opportunity to know that they have a place in the museum. And if they aspire to art, there's a place for them. So that was really important for us to do that. We'll continue to do that. We always have. One of the things I wanted to talk about was our donations. We are at the same number now as of June that we were at the end of last year. So we are definitely seeing amazing attendance and amazing donations. So our numbers are up on that. I want everybody to know that. Coming up, we have Wings Over the Square butterfly art installation. There are going to be 10 large butterflies like this one installed in the park, OSS Park. That's going to be in collaboration, in coordination with our Delray Mural Fest that's coming up at the end of July as well. That'll be installed for a couple of months, and it'll also be part of our next exhibition, which is Nature's Palette, Art Inspired by the Earth. That's going to be a call to artists featuring local artists, some regional artists. And then that's coming up in September. And then we have the Hot Glass exhibition, which is coming up in October. That one we're especially proud of. I'm going to be working with the Ben Zayton Center that's in Lake Worth. It's a glass blowing facility. They have an artist in residence there and also an artist in residence at Hollywood Hot Glass, who have both been on the Netflix special Blown Away, where they bring in 10 glass artists, whittle them down to one, and then that one artist gets an opportunity to be an artist in residence at the Corning Museum of Glass up in New York State. So 2 of those artists are right here in South Florida, so we're going to be featuring them in the museum coming up.
All right.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
I just want to say you're doing a great job, really.
Thank you.
It's awesome stuff, and even seeing how with the limited resources we have, the way you're teaming up with like Lake Worth and their assets, and I visited that glass gallery before, and it's beautiful. And years ago when they first started doing it, I mean, it's taken them years and years to really get that up and running. And again, and just even the world-class stuff with the international artists, and I know we had some, dignitaries visiting us.
Yes.
And again, just doing great jobs. So I just want to let you know.
Thank you. And we're going to be working with Ben Zayton. There will be some opportunities to showcase glass art there as part of our exhibition, and then also the butterfly exhibition is going to be part of the nature. So we're trying to loop everything in together. That's right.
No, it shows. So doing a
Thank
good
you.
job with that.
Maruska?
Yes.
Sorry. Not a problem. I'm easy to forget.
Not at all.
I want to thank you for all that you're doing. I've also visited the glass. I actually had a session there. So if you want my starfish, I can bring it in. You can highlight it under glass or, with a light on it.
With an alarm.
Yeah, with an alarm,
Yes.
so that nobody takes it. Yes, thank you for understanding my humor.
Of course.
But you and BJ, I appreciate your efforts and your collaborative efforts. I know, BJ, it's a little slow down there because I've been talking to the merchants on Beachside, and when I talk to the merchants, a lot of them, of course, are the clothing merchants, because that's where my long lost passion is, to go in there. And they've been saying leading up to July 4th it was pretty slow.
Yeah.
And so you can see it reflected in the visitor center numbers. And I know that the restaurant that's over there on the corner, we're anticipating an opening there to help with the foot traffic. But you two are beating the street and making sure that everyone keeps their focus on what's going on downtown. And Susan, you and your marketing wizardry and the team behind us with the PR. I can't thank you enough for all the hard work that you guys have been putting out. And I know Laura is leading that charge, but I know you guys are the eyes and ears. And Danielle, you walked every neighborhood. When I say every neighborhood, I'm shocked that I didn't run into you, because I'm just about in every neighborhood. But thank you all for everything, and Devin and Alex and Liliana for taking my calls and not hanging up on me when I do call. I appreciate your work. You guys are working very hard, and it's gonna pay off. Sometimes you have to plant seeds and then another one water it, then we all reap the harvest. So this is seed planting season right now, and then it will take off. So thank you.
Thank you, Vera. And just to round out what's happened at Old School Square, we also had Make Music Day. Somehow I got roped into being on the committee for this. But it really was a great event. This was an event that started in France many years ago. It's a global pop-up music event. So people basically pop up in the street in cities around the world and play music on June 21st every year for the summer solstice. So this group met at the Cultural Council almost a year ago to create a Make Music Day in Palm Beach County. The inaugural one was this past summer solstice on June 21st. Old School Square was one of the venues. So we had a kids music circle, we had harmonica lessons, we had a singer-songwriter perform, and we had a drum circle. They all popped up on the campus on that day on the summer solstice. It was really a great event. And then we also had our Sunset concert, free Sunset concert, the Shaylin Band. They are this local powerhouse band, and I'm telling you, they rocked the house. They were really, really, really awesome. We had a solid crowd. People just, every time I'm at the information booth, come up to me and are like, these shows are so great. Thank you so much. We had about 1,000 people in attendance, which is really awesome considering last summer when we first started these, we first took it over from the city. We have quadrupled the number that we had last summer. So really has taken off, and we're really excited that people are coming and enjoying the square. The revenue that we're getting from these concerts, it's about $4,000 or $5,000 between VIP tickets that we're selling and then concessions. We do get a portion of the concessions. And then this is just a look at what's coming up in the square. As Mariska mentioned, those Wings Over the Square butterfly art installation, they will be installed on Monday. Delray Walls Mural Fest, we're doing a kickoff concert on Friday with Spread the Dub, and then Saturday is the ticketed event with Bachaco, which is a Latin reggae band, very huge following out of Miami. And then August 23rd, we have another free Sunset concert with a Journey tribute band. I've got like 4,000 responses on Facebook Facebook for that. So I think that's going to be a busy one. And then August 30th, we have Party in Paradise, Delray's tribute to Jimmy Buffett. And we do have a lot of people. We've already sold a bunch of tickets on that. People are very excited to celebrate Jimmy Buffett on Jimmy Buffett Day. Okay. Laura, do you want to?
Yes, I just wanted to say thanks to the team. One thing we did leave out of this presentation is Art and Jazz on the Avenue. So we do have coming up Art and Jazz on the Avenue July 24th, which is the last Wednesday of the month, which is traditionally when we are holding these. It's a Wednesday. And this one is going to be on East Atlantic. Danielle on our team heads up our business development and art and jazz events and Savor the Avenue, different events that we do as an organization. So this one will be Swenton to Federal Highway, street closure event, 6 to 9:30. So it's in that traditional art and jazz footprint that we've traditionally had back in the day. So we're looking forward to seeing that, and we invite you all to participate in all of these events. And
I apologize for leaving that out to promote that coming up. That's my bad.
Yes. So this is the fourth we do 4 a year. So the July one is our last one for the year as we go into our next fiscal year. And these we moved around for our new board members. We moved Art and Jazz around the different neighborhoods to showcase each neighborhood because these are economic development events, bringing people downtown to discover and rediscover new locations, hang out on the street. People love to be in the street when it's closed, dancing as we found, and then enjoying our place, which is really why we do what we do. So we also want to highlight with you all too, this is an addition that we added to the agenda today because we wanted to make sure our new board members and our current board members are aware of the branding efforts and the marketing efforts that we're putting together as part of our initiative that we set forth back in October 2022. So the rebranding, which when we led, and we've got a few slides in here just to share, so just to thank you for your patience. We started with this initiative as we were tasked to do the programming and activation for Old School Square campus with the need to, how are we going to market this? So because we didn't have control of the platforms or the logo or the branding from the past Old School Square brand, we were saying, okay, we need to establish a brand that's going to stay with this campus for at least the next 10 to 20 years. So we started down this, and it will stay with the campus. So the timeline with this is we started in October 2022 having discussions with the City Commission moving forward. November, in order to start, we were opening the museum in December of 2022, so we needed a transition brand. So what's currently being used that you see, logos, colors, fonts, type, photos, photography, are all part of the transition brand, while at the same time going through the process of creating a new brand. We went with RFP to hire an agency, so we put that out for proposal to come back and create a build a marketing brand and a brand for this campus, which takes research time, initiatives. So started that process back obviously in December of 2022, fast forward, making the selection in May and starting with a discovery session, and then move forward with that discovery session, launching that to the team in September. Fast forward from the brand story, which tells the story, which will tell you this as we go forward, and then in August, logos, logo development, and then in February, once the logo got to a final development stage, approval process through the City Commission was the next step.
Yeah, we were on the City Commission agenda last night. After waiting since February to get on the City Commission agenda, we were pulled from the agenda, saying they needed more information.
So
then
we are doing that now. So as we go through the process, so we're just waiting at this point for that. But just wanted, so now, since we didn't present this last night, we want to make sure that you all are presenting this now.
we
So-
did not present this last night, so we
No.
wanted to make sure you all saw it.
Right. So moving forward, so as we had the committee for us, we've been working very closely with the city staff throughout the year. Obviously, you know Jeff as part of our liaison with the city. Next slide. And then I'm going to turn this back because the transition brand. So this is a look at the transition brand and a transition website, which is delrayoldskoolsquare.com.
Yeah. So we created this because we needed a Band-Aid. You can't market a huge campus or anything without a basic logo and some social media channels and a website. This was meant to be a Band-Aid. It was meant to last 3 to 6 months. Or it's now been a year and a half. It only has a graphic element in 2 colors, and the green in this is not ADA compliant. This only is basically a font, and it says we're here and we're open. So we needed a solid logo and brand that tells the story of this campus and really puts it in a competitive advantage with other campuses, other venues. We had this discovery session back in May of 2023. Our agency gathered for a multi-day discovery session. They wanted to understand the campus. They took pictures. They wanted to, go into all the venues and really determine how we wanted the brand to make people feel. And we determined that we wanted it to feel fun and vibrant and welcoming, inclusive, nostalgic, and original, which are all the things that the Old School Square campus is. So those were the things that we came up with, the descriptions. And then we just developed a personality of Old School Square with these 4 buildings, and those were the 4 pillars. We preserve a storied legacy. We create a gathering place for people and ideas. We celebrate our diverse and vibrant home, and we inspire a local love for Delray. And then, as you can see, each venue was assigned a personality. Cornell Art Museum is welcoming and creative. The amphitheater is vibrant and eccentric. The Crest Theater is progressive and unexpected. And the Vintage Gym, of course, nostalgic. All right, so this is the brand story that was developed by our team. So you develop the brand story first, and that's very important because it's a starting point to build your brand. And all great brands have a certain tone and a voice and a personality, and that's the guiding theme for the logo and anything you do with the brand moving forward. So this is our brand story, where Delray comes together. To the people of Delray Beach, these 4 buildings and 6 acres do not make up the Old School Square. They make up our Old School Square, a campus that inspires the community and invites participation. It's a welcome place to visitors of all kinds, whether you're from out of town or down the street. Our square is Delray's soul, a place to gather and a place to grow, a place to reminisce on old times and have good times, a place to connect with the arts, with friends, and with yourself. We are the beating heart of downtown, a living legacy at the corner of past and present. At our Old School Square, we create a space welcome to everyone, where everyone is welcome to create. Moments, memories, music, art, community, it's all made here, where Delray comes together. All right, so that's the brand story, and then we bring the vision to life from there with logo development. All right. This has already been out there, so I'm not going to be showing anything that you haven't seen. So this was the logo choice. We've been through 6 or 8 different logos to come up with this, along with our selection committee, which included the city. Vibrant and bold, pops off the page. Original and dynamic, ownable and unlike any other, and nostalgic, a nod to the OSS architecture. If you'll recognize, these words describing this logo are the words that were also used to describe the brand and how we wanted people to feel. This is a look at how it is stacked and vertical and horizontal. And then the inspiration for the design. So the H and the L make up the arch that you will see all over campus. There are arches in the windows, on the doors, and the loggia. Those arches are indicative of Old School Square. So our graphic designer used the H and the L to make up the arch over the campus. The inspiration for the colors also came from the campus. That green is in all of the trim. It's in the top of the roof line. It's on the floors. It looks more blue in that, but it is that green color. And then the pink came from the columns inside the Crest Theater. Both colors were made brighter and darker because you have to have a contrast for ADA compliance. And then this is a look at some of the brand mock-ups. This is how a digital ad would look for the Cornell Art Museum. And really, I mean, it is a world-class art museum, and you need a world-class brand and a brand story to be able to sell that. Here's the amount of money that we've spent so far over the last 18 months on just developing this brand and getting to this point. And then these are the next steps. Laura? Do you have anything else?
Right. So as we sit right now, these are the next steps right now for us is to follow up with our city staff and city commission to see what next steps are as we move forward. Recommendation last night was to pull the brand process from the DDA back into the city. So we're waiting to have that conversation as we go forward. The point of presenting this was to get feedback and direction and move forward with that with the city. So we hope that we are able to do that.
Point of clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I got lost in the sauce a little bit. So we led up to this with our city partners, designing, feedback, all of those things, and we arrived at this logo. The meeting was supposed to happen where we were supposed to deliver the information. They pulled it from the agenda for whatever reason. I don't know. I didn't watch the meeting yesterday yet. But now we're being asked to take this information and this creation and hand it over to the city. Is that for the approval? Is that the new process? Is that
So
we're going to design?
Since last night, I haven't had further discussion.
Okay.
So what we wanted to do, based on hearing that we were wanting, it was pulled from last night's agenda. Plus, we have new board members here, and we are here in this process. We wanted, whether it was on the agenda last night or not, we wanted to make sure that we were sharing this information in detail with you all. The presentation that was given last night, or to be given last night, was hopeful to pull it to have more information to bring back. And we're hoping that we can have that opportunity to do that and to share this presentation with them, share the work that's been done, share the brand story that we have. There's a lot of research that's been part of it. And if there's, it takes, we want input, right? It's part of, not everyone's going to like this. And if we have feedback from this option, let's move forward. This is meant to stay with the campus. All of the tools and resources that we're developing, the new websites coming out of this next, all the guidelines, everything would be to package and move on, right? Mm-hmm. To share that with whoever's next in the future. DDA is not here for the long term, so we know that with purpose, as we do everything with this campus, we want to make sure that we're packaging something that can be transitioned and move into the future. So that is our goal, and I think from here, we're taking the next steps to move that down that path.
I do agree that we need something, because when you look at West Palm Beach, Rosemary Square, they've taken the typical square and kind of segmented it, red box, which is what I was looking at to make sure that we were not even close to their newer design, because they've called themselves Rosemary Square. So that's
they're back to City Place, I believe.
Yeah. Well, it's out there on their website. They have a whole website that's for Rosemary Square. So I know that that's somewhat what we were talking about 3 months ago, that there was this competing voice for the square. But I'm very concerned in that we're doing this, and it costs money to do this, and if it's handed over to another group to start from scratch, our financial outlay and loss isn't
right. So I think there's a bigger conversation that needs to happen, and that's the point of this, is really to make sure that we're sharing this with you all, because you need to be understanding that this is part of this process. Again, our goal was to get direction and move forward with implementation. If we do have to start over, that's more time, more resources. So, and which is fine if that's the direction. But again, we want to make sure that we're clear with you all as a community and the community that this has been a purposely driven process. And we're waiting just to get some direction and feedback from for the next steps. So.
I got a question. Jeff, back there, how you doing? Question, do you know, why was this pulled if we're looking for feedback from the commission? Were they just not ready to discuss, or is it?
Good afternoon, Jeff Forrest, Assistant City Manager. I really don't know exactly why it was pulled. Unfortunately, I was out of town until Monday, and it was pulled while I was out of town. I'm still trying to get to exactly what the reasons are so we can discuss them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Will you back up a slide or two, just because we were talking about the costs? I know we had some numbers up there. So I know we're 42,000 into the rebranding, which again, this is always for the city. However, the commission wants to, proceed. We can work with them. Obviously, hopefully, we have a seat at the table, Jeff, and can be part of any rebranding. What was the rest of? Now go back another 2 slides to the end. You were, because it had the 3 or 4 phases. No, go or to the very end of the presentation, if you would. I apologize. Yeah, for steps 2, 3, and 4, do we have a budget for what we think we'll spend for that?
So part of that's already included in the guideline standards, but the website development is separate. Yeah. So that's a separate
cost.
And that separate cost is
Do we
close
have
to
a budget?
22,000, 21,500 for the website.
Yeah, which again, that's just about may need that work, and we want to make this look like a world-class website for a world-class location. And then for the new brand relaunch, what was the number on that to take that to finalize it from where
I
we
think
are?
it's 10. Another 10.
Another 10. Okay. I'm just.
What
again,
does that
just-
entail? The launch.
So it includes all the things from the logo to getting it out to the public, digital assets, meaning ads and things that are created for that, signage on campus, pole banners. We were going to do pole banners on the campus.
Yes.
So it's the design of all of that.
Yeah, the creative design for that. So those are standard, and those are standard marketing costs. So those are as we market and promote, and again, it's a cultural venue that definitely needs marketing around it.
It's a big part of something we're working with. And again, I know just from our past discussions, there's still some brand crossover and ambiguousness around the old school square, and now the DDA's rebranded Old School Square, because again, we needed a website to produce things. So again, we'll hopefully continue to work that out. I know you guys are working on it, and again, I'm not even sure if they know everyone who's handling all the different assets at this point. So
yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason that we have to do this, because Old School Square campus does not have a permanent brand right now. That was removed when the old organization, that belonged to the old organization. That was their logo.
No, I understand.
And so for us to then, now we have to come up with a new logo for the campus.
And we just renewed for another 5 years. So, we're looking at, trying to get this website to where it'll handle everything we want it to do and illustrate everything. So it makes sense. Again, I'm always tight with the dollars, but I understand what this is. And again, but we need to make sure we understand the direction from the city. Jeff, you'll let us know when you hear from them, so we can all work together on this and just, again, tighten up some assets we have and get them built for the next 5 years. Anyone else?
I had a question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead,
No.
please.
No, this is about something else, so go ahead.
So it seems like to me there's a little bit of growing pains right now going on between the new city commission and the DDA and so forth. And is it out of, my first meeting, I don't know, but does it make any sense? Does it make any sense to see if we can have like a joint workshop and these are big, important things to the DDA, to the city, the CRA, the downtown. Is that something that we can request of, some kind of joint workshop or whatever else to talk through some of these items and so forth? Is that out of line for me
No,
to
we've
ask
had
the
a couple
board?
joint workshops with the commission on it, but maybe it makes sense to keep these regular.
Yeah, well, it's a new commission as well now, so.
Well,
we-
we do have our planning workshop next week, so I do think for a bigger discussion around this might be a time for that. We have more time, and we can. I know it's not a joint workshop, but I think just looking more detail of process and overall DDA, Old School Square, having that conversation in the future. But that could be part of. I can work with the city manager and assistant city manager to discuss that as an option.
Has the city commission been invited to that workshop, or does it make sense to invite them
We
to
can.
it?
We can. They're always invited.
I'm just trying to see how things can move forward and
Right.
not do it twice or
Yes.
3 times.
All right, so I think.
All right,
we're
good.
I just had a question about this. I think
Love
these
that.
are fantastic. How do these get distributed? This is just like meat and potatoes.
So they get distributed at our visitor information center. BJ gets them to all of the hotels, so all the concierges are giving them out. They're at the Cornell Art Museum. They're at all of our. They're given out at all of our concerts. When we launched Love Del Rey at our concert in May,
Danielle's passing them out.
we gave out a bunch of them. So they're distributed at all of our events.
We gave them out in neighborhood meetings too, like
How's
Ida
our
neighborhood.
relationship with the Coastal Star? If we could do like inserts in the Coastal Star.
Yeah, so we have an ad in the Coastal Star for Love Del Rey.
But what I'm saying is like this is just like like I said, meat and potatoes.
Mhm.
Restaurant discount.
Right. Yeah. I can certainly reach out to them and see if that's something we might be able to. I don't know.
We'll
if-
give you a stack. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure an insert
Everybody
is
gets a
very
stack.
expensive.
Awesome. All right.
Looks good. Moving on to.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, board.
Thank you, everyone. Again, appreciate the updates, and look forward to hearing from Jeff and the city on how to move this forward. Moving to the new business, the placemaking activation grant application. And I think we're going to possibly move this because we just got an updated application.
Yeah, I can share with you. I did, Cynthia Ridley is here actually. Oh, and hi, Chuck. Chuck Ridley's here as well, who presented the application. And she and I had a chance to briefly talk last night at the commission meeting. I did forward you all both sets of the grant, and then you should have a paper copy in front of you. This is just a little history, and I shared this with everyone too. The Downtown Placemaking Art and Activation Grant Program was a program that we put together several years ago as a way for us to incentivize placemaking in our underutilized areas. And that is through murals, through frontage, potted plants, or art installations in front of businesses, as well as events. So a way for us to partner with organizations for events in underutilized areas, such as the Set neighborhood, Pineapple Grove, south of Atlantic Avenue. So for this one, it came in several weeks ago from the Set Coalition, and then just recently received it. It has a different twist because it came back after some conversation regarding the budget. They're looking to do a street closure event, and then I had some questions regarding that. So you have both programs in front of you if you want to discuss it today, or if you want to have time to look at it and have more questions. There's time, I believe, with their event that we could put it on the August agenda.
Again, I'll rely on everyone else's opinion. I'd like some time to look at it because, again, I looked at the old one and I know we had some questions. And, again, I haven't even really looked at the new one yet.
And Cynthia's here also if you have any questions.
But again,
for
I
her.
don't know if it's a timing thing for any of their stuff. And, again, I'd like to hear from the board as well, their opinion.
My comment, I would like to be able to review it as well, but at the same time, you have a couple representatives here, so it might be worthwhile to allow them a few minutes to speak. They came here, took time out of their day, and so forth. So if that's all right with the board, I would,
I'm fine with that. Yeah, please come up. And you're on the very end of the agenda. You made it through the whole thing. So at least we can give you some time.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cynthia Ridley. Been living in the city of Del Rey over 40 years. I came up with this event about 5 years ago. It's called the 12 Days of Christmas, where I just felt as a person that has lived in this community for years that I've seen children and families always had a need. I done gave out coats to whatever families that's near. But I thought about it, our children today don't have memories. You know, we growing up and things are going around us, and I just believe children should always leave growing up with some type of memories. And my 12 Days of Christmas has brought this to probably over 3,000 or 4,000 families in this community since 5 years, and just been reoccurring. Especially on this day that we came up with a Santa pajama party, and it grew from maybe 100 families coming out. And now, last year I was approached by Renee. She said, "Cynthia, you gotta close this street off, because if you know where Libby Wesley is, it's just a bad corner." And I put everything around it so we could making sure the children wouldn't run in the street, because that's the street. She said, "Cynthia, you gotta close this street off." Now we up to 300 or 400 children and families that's coming to this event. So I said, that means I have to go to DDA and get asked for help, because most of the money that we get is through donations and people giving from this community. I think I've not really asked for them for never any money at all for any help for this. It just mainly came from donation, people volunteering, and just giving donation through love and joy of this community. So I'm asking this only because we got to close off the streets. It's a lot of things attached to it, whereas we have to have insurance, we got to have this, we got to have that when you're dealing with the city of Delray Beach. So I'm asking for funding just to help with some of these items that we hope that we don't run into roadblocks when we come in through the city of Delray. And the families that comes, they look for it. Once we put this big white chair up there, they know that we are coming. We have given out last year at this event, we gave about 300 to 400 food boxes out. We did like 300 ornaments through and one of our big sponsors is the CRA, where they come, they pay for one mini donut machine. Person comes out and the families receive free donuts to the families, and we give out popcorn we have to buy. So it's a lot of stuff go into this event. I think one year we had 3 bicycles. I think Vera also donated like 5. And so now we up the people saying you need this and need this. So I think last year we were able to give out maybe 15 bicycles. So kids are looking, families, and one of the things that as I looked around last year, we had mothers with babies. And then we had teens that we were not able to give anything to, because you know how it is, people give to small children. But when it came to our mothers, I saw mothers out there with babies. We didn't have any stuff for those age groups. So the money that we will receive, whatever's left, will be giving gift cards that we asked for, some things to teens, and especially to young mothers who comes out there every year, and grandmothers who are actually raising their children like me. I'm raising my grandson as well. So I know the feel. I know that in this community, I see some of the hurt. So that's why I do 12 days. And as you look through that packet and journey with us for those 12 days, you're going to see the things that we actually bring through this community. It's so much, but we get it done. We get it done through our elders table and volunteers. So I present you that you read through this, and hopefully that we get more than we need, because we always need more than what we usually need until we get there. And I'm going to let Chuck give a little bit more, but that's just a little tidbit. But as we finish the calendar, you will be able to see and follow us through 12 Days of Christmas, and you're going to enjoy, and you're going to want to give more, because you got good hearts that sit behind that day is up there. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Chuck Ridley. I have the privilege of sleeping with that woman every night. And I live at 210 Northwest 2nd Avenue. So you see her heart. We both have the privilege of being community organizers. She's the best of the two. But she has the love and the heart for this community. And that goes back 100 years. That is what makes Delray great. Oftentimes we talk as though there aren't 2 Delrays, but there are. And one of those neighborhoods are called the Sect. And it's that for a reason. It didn't just happen. As we work towards One Delray, let's not forget that we can do that and celebrate many neighborhoods. There's a richness to it. So it's time for DDA and the said neighborhood to work together very differently in a way that promotes diversity, in a way that honors heritage and history, in a way that honors voice, in a way that is not parental and prescriptive, but in a manner that is about being thought partners, like the events that are important to those who live there. May not be important to businesses east of Swinton, but it very well could be the catalyst that begins to bring a market that is west of Swinton to an avenue that we've called home. We have the beach property. We have the traditional downtown. What we call west of Swinton is a business district that runs right through the heart of a working class, one-time black neighborhood. Ain't as black as it used to be. But what is the same is the love and care. The marketing got to be different. Like what I saw y'all do up there today, if you all can bring that to the ingenuity and creativity of women like this, can you imagine how this neighborhood begins to pop? Because we got to build an infrastructure. This is the catalyst. This is why we're here today. We can really begin to work different. We're putting out an olive branch. Thank you for letting us share.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to clarify because it was stated that I gave those bikes. Those bikes were donated to another organization, but I made sure that they went to Cynthia's organization because she had pleaded with the group to make sure that the kids all had bikes. Now, I have some questions for Cynthia, and Cynthia and I have a very strong love-hate relationship. And I would say she hates me way more than you guys could probably even imagine. So she's going to entertain my questions. I was led to believe...
First of all, I am a woman of God. So
yes, you are.
Thank you.
Yes, you are. I am never here during Christmas because I go to California. Mm-hmm. But I was led to believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I saw the marketing that went out last time from your organization, which was very succinct regarding those 12 days. Is it true, and I'm only doing this as a fact finding because I'm trying to help, is it true that the kids, because there aren't enough gifts for all of the children, that it's somewhat of a raffle fashion, so the kids get a ticket? Can you explain if I was told that the wrong way? Because to me that hurts my heart. So
it was only because we did not have enough bikes, because all the children that comes there and families, they bicycles in the black neighborhood, right. Everybody got to have a bicycle. Transportation. Mm-hmm. And so it was so many last year. We got a few more than we had the previous year. So I said we got to raffle them off because there was no way. And that's what we usually do when we don't have enough of everything. We just try to raffle so it's fair. Mm-hmm. So I think the police department donated a few more. Then we have Osborne and Francis, one of our sponsors. He bought bicycles last year, so we had more. Okay. And so someone else donated bicycles, so we had more. So I think we had about 10 or 15 bicycles.
But you had 300 families show up.
Or more that was out there. So the number just increased so much that now we have to raffle because we don't have 500 bicycles or 300 to give out. So some of the things we had to go through a raffle process. I think was something else as well.
What I would like is if you could, maybe in late October, early November, come back with the wish list of the items that you think you're going to need based on the anticipated participation. Because when I found out that it was a raffle, I can only imagine a child having a ticket, thinking this is the golden ticket like Willy Wonka, and then they don't get a bike. And I'm not saying we're going to be able to supply amongst us, but I know that the men to my left have some deep pockets. I'm a retired teacher who just tries to be a volunteer in services community. So I know they have deep pockets. So in some way, I would like to see more of a satisfaction for those children, and especially those mothers in need, to have those supplies. And if I need to get my sorority involved, or whatever needs to happen, I want to make sure that those kids get that memory that you're talking about.
Absolutely, and that's the importance of it. It's called love and joy, and that's what we try to do to some of the families. And you'd be surprised that they don't even see the face; they just know that it happens. And now we just see so many different colors and races that come to this pajama party. It just like blows me away, because now it's just a spread. They wait. I don't even do no advertising at all. So can you imagine from 100 up to 300 or 400 children? They waiting to be a part of this, and it's just so great to see that many people. I don't know what neighborhoods they come from. It really does not care. My care is that each child leave with something. That's important, and they get to choose a gift they want from behind Santa. I told them I don't want wrapped gifts. I want them to see what they wanted, and because I had one of my churches, I'm like, enough of that. Let them pick what they want, and usually it's about. Families got 5 or 6 or 7 children that's out there, and they get to choose whatever gift. We can only give one because there's so many families that's out there. But the more we give, the more we give away. And the ones that's left, we do Christmas Day. And all the toys that's left from this event, we give out on Christmas Day. So we're here to December 26th until every toy is gone.
So are we putting this on the agenda for August to have the formal discussion about the grant request? Is that what the early discussion was? So that the money can go to, I think the money is being used to close the street down. That was your request?
Yeah, it has to, I don't know. I got a call from the city already. That's for the police department and public utilities, whatever needs to go with that.
Yeah. So from what I see, your budget's $4,300.
Yes.
And the grant that we provide is up to $2,000 is what we can provide as far as the for the activation piece. So it obviously would go, and that budget is part of.
The second package says 3,100.
Yeah, we changed it because we had to do the numbers a little bit more. So
is it
this is
back
her
to-
new package. It should be changed.
Right. So the first pack, which I didn't include the $1,000 for the street closure piece,
Okay.
we're from the city. So the
Now
first
it's down
one,
to
yeah.
200.
So now it has
Yeah, we
that
did
has
have
it
to
in
change
there,
some of the numbers on it.
which I think is a little low, but maybe they'll
I don't
work
know.
with
This
you
is
on
my
that.
first
but,
time even asking.
But that's
and dealing with the city with any of this good things that they do.
Yes. So the key is that we are, we have a $2,000 allotment for this activation grant. So it's up to the board, though it's board discretion of what you'd like to give. We do have funds in the budget for
Is
this.
there another bucket where we could also maybe, instead of just the activation grant, take from in order to help
Well,
facilitate
we
it?
have enough. We are only extended from the $25,000 that's in the activation line item for our grants for this current fiscal year. We've only have about 40% of that spent.
All right,
So we do have additional funding. If you
Okay.
choose to add additional funds for this, which is totally board discretion.
Again, I'm okay using the grant because the funds are there, but I just don't want to get into a situation later where a grant comes to us and we're like, oh, we had
Well, we're
double
in-
dipped, when in reality this fits so many other priorities of this board that, if there's some funds in economic development
Yeah.
or somewhere else,
Well, I would say that probably utilize the grant for this because we are going into budgeting. Our fiscal year starts in October 1. We're at a point, and have not heard any. Maybe there's one additional grant in the future, and you could always, reallocate as you go into this again.
Yeah,
Revisit it.
I'm kind of with Brian on this. Like, I'd love to find the money somewhere else. I don't know. Have we have precedent about giving more than the $2,000?
We have. We've done.
Okay.
We've done 5,000
Okay.
before. We've done for C. Ron Allen's event in the past for an initiative that was a street closure style event on Northwest Fifth Avenue. And so that was board discretion based on the type of event, based on the need. So that's really that's what this is for. So pulling it from another area, I don't know that I recommend. I would really look at this line item for that.
That's fine, as long as it follows our policies and we're not, you know what I mean? I just like to always, not set new precedents. If it's a precedent, we have that
No.
authority, then I'm comfortable with it. The other thing that I just want to mention again, I know that our grant money, that's why, again, I talked about the grant money, can only go towards the street closures and the, certain costs and things. We can't necessarily use those towards gift cards and other things like that. But, again, with our marketing and PR arm and for the holidays, planning ahead, and Christmas is coming, and we want to make sure all these kids have bikes. And thank you, Vera, for really showing us a little insight into what's going on in this, and for your time up here. I think we could, as a DDA, say, hey, we've chosen this as a charity and a community. It's a big part of our city that we want to support this year. And let's see if, I don't know if it's a GoFundMe or if there's a relationship with a bike shop that people can just buy a bike, and get it delivered to you, or how. I don't know the functionality of it, but we have some time to figure it out, and I think that would be even the greater impact of dollars that we could help raise and try to do something. Because that can't come from the DDA, but we can help shed light onto what you're doing, tell the stories as Vera did, and you
absolutely.
did.
Are they
really
new
try to
bikes,
make it
or
something
can they
special.
We gave away some old bikes, but it doesn't matter. I just think it's the gift of giving. So whatever you give, and what we just making sure that we clear with the city, making sure we cover our costs, and making sure that we have done. I don't want them to come back and give me a bill of $10,000 and I'll have the money to cover it, so I'm coming back.
One last thing, and again, I was going to take it offline, but happy to talk to you, with you guys. I called Max Zengage earlier today. He happens to be very good at organizing these events. He's very detail oriented. Maybe to sit with you guys and go over everything. And he's going to ask you questions to nauseum. You're just going to be like, Max, I don't care. But he's really good at that. He can help with the paperwork. He's open to do that. He's offered himself and, would be a great resource to work with. And again, I know he's just so community driven himself as a young man. Excited at the opportunity to work with you guys on it. So I'll hook you up with him.
Is that the car young man?
Yeah, that's the car young man.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, but he said he'd be happy to sit with you guys to go over, because again, I saw the first application, the budget, and some discrepancies and stuff, and I just want to get it super tight so you're don't have any issues.
Yeah, that's why we're here early. We're trying to do things.
We appreciate that too.
I'm trying to be like colorfuls, but not like colorfuls.
Yeah.
That's all.
So,
and then you might have a different budget too, based on, again, once you have your costs a little more together next month, if that's a thing that's going on right now.
Yes, we can. So this is our first year actually doing this and trying to learn from it. So next year we'll be a little bit more prepared for it, because I'm just doing stuff off the grid and just making sure it happens.
Max will give you a template.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
So
will Max also connect us with marketing?
With what?
Marketing.
No, that's Suzanne.
We'll connect with
That'd
you.
Be Suzanne.
So I guess the question for the board is this something that, again, do we want to move this as a line item for an action item on August agenda, or do you want to have action today?
I just needed to clarify from our meeting that we had. I didn't know that all the pieces were in place. So if that happened in the last 24 hours and everything is in line, let's move with what we're trying to do, because they're trying to get started, and that's going to take a large effort.
I do think there's some with the street closure piece that's other additional pieces that they'll have to put in their event permit and everything.
Okay.
That's separate, but that's for them to organize. As far as the funding piece is what my question was.
I was going to say, what's the number?
So we did receive that, but it came late. So I was just worried that you all wouldn't have time to review that, and more so than. But it seems like we've discussed it.
It looks like we have some consent. So, and what was the updated number?
It was $2,000 they're asking for.
No,
$3,100.
We would like.
You asking for the 4,300?
Yes, that's what we're
okay.
asking.
So they're asking for the 4,300.
And that 4,300, all those costs are just going to the road closures, insurance, the activation costs, not like gift cards per se. And
Well, there's $600. We have $400 in for gift
31?
cards.
That's why, again, I moved it to next month.
Let
maybe
us bring that back.
Yeah, bring it back. Work with Max, because again, the numbers may change a little bit, and I don't want to.
It might change. I'm not sure. So
I think you have our support as a board. It's pretty clear.
That's all we just need to make sure we have support.
We'll just tighten it up so that maybe when we get the grant,
right, and have a clear. Just let's get clear. We will get together, meet separately, and understand exact costs and what you exactly need, and then where we and then I can make a proper recommendation to the board on location of our
and I think that's
numbers.
a couple dollars, but I think the real POW is going to happen with you working with Suzanne and figuring out some ways to really, illustrate is this a downtown.
Then we really need a street closure. So.
Yes, we gotta.
Let's do it. That's what this money's for. It's a little more money.
We gotta have that.
City services might go up.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we got to have a street
Yeah.
closure
Awesome.
just for safety for the family. So that's my top priority is the street
We'll have a
safety.
bike racing area for the
Absolutely.
kids. Obstacle course.
A
Just
train.
kidding. Just getting insurance. Just
All
kidding.
right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
patience. All right. I think we have direction on that item. Let me.
Thank
find
you
my-
very much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. And then moving on down the list, Old School Square revenue, rental fees, and policy discussion. And Laura Simon, you want to share with the board? what you come up
Excellent. So I've had good discussion with everyone regarding the rental fees policy, updating the rental fee for the Old School Square campus. This is to tighten us up because we're already getting inquiries for the coming year. Wanted to have a rate plan in place for us as far as the rentals go. For the vintage gym and the amphitheater grounds, both the stage and the grounds itself. So, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this because we've all had discussion on this. I just will want to get consensus on the pricing that we've provided with the, I have it here, it's proposed Old School Square pricing. We have a commercial pricing and a nonprofit pricing, and then a vintage gym and then the Cornell Museum rental is for pricing for us as needed.
Can I ask a question, Laura? Because I
Yes,
reviewed
ma'am.
it. I toss and turn. I was a landlord when I owned my real estate, and right now to book space, there's a lull. Let's just say. So those numbers that you put in there, I know that I just want to make sure that we're giving you wiggle room to negotiate, because I would hate for somebody to walk away from that property for $300. You know what I mean? If they can find a $300 difference down the road somewhere. So I like what you did, because it outlines that there will be no, sway up front in the discussion until you can assess whether or not we need to plug a hole. Because this is generating revenue, obviously, and we want to make sure that every dollar matters and counts when it comes to that. So how can we assist you in providing you with that sway? What do we need to do?
So, for clarity, as I understand, so just on the pricing negotiation
Yes.
for a rental fee. So I think providing us that opportunity to have that ability to look at the actual cost of service, and then working with the applicant, a renter, on coming to a solution that doesn't impede the cost, or 100% waiver. I think 100% waiving of fees would be something that I would bring back to the board for their discretion and input on that. That has been very few where we've received I want 100%. There's probably 2 out there I know of right now. There's always the request for some type of a discount, whether it's a 25% or additional dollars or dollars off. But that is really looked at the type of a business, the type of use, and given us that opportunity to do that, and would appreciate that opportunity for us to work as a team to evaluate and with each individual renter, because
So-
they're all very different.
Yeah, well, the reason why I was asking to the gentleman that was up here offering the reading and the music and everything, he said all he needed was a venue. And all I heard as a former real estate person is free, rent free. And so I'm just trying to make sure that, yes, like you stated, if it's going to be a free waiver, that there's some say here on the board. But if it's, I guess we should say, if it's within a $500 range, that's up to your and your team's discretion, because otherwise you're going to be waiting while they're out there searching for a space. Like right now, my organization is looking for a space for a retreat. And so if I come to you, I got one meeting to get the vote from all of the members, and if it prolongs 2 months, then I'm out. So how can we make that so that it's efficient for you?
Well, I know that in some of the discussions has been just really giving us the leeway to make those decisions based on covering of cost, and percentage or a number, and also providing you all with updates as that goes forward, so that you all are aware of agreements that are there that have been discounted. So giving that opportunity to get discount on a percentage basis or a dollar basis. I think that would be a consensus from you all to be able to do that.
I mean, I'd go ahead and just say, again, with what you're saying, I think we can agree if you're okay with a 50% discount. But again, any discounts, you just make a note, in the budget at the end of the month, like, hey, here's all our bookings and here's the price. And by the way, we discounted it here, just so we know where we're being discounted and how much, so we can track it. We want to keep the place full. We don't want to overdo it either and take on stuff that's going to wear and tear and be hard on staff if it's a heavy use type of situation. But I'm comfortable with that as long as we just report it and can track it.
Right, and you can see in the backup that I provided you is the list for the gym, the amphitheater, and the museum as well.
Yeah, we're giving it away, everyone. So you should book. It's really like these prices are amazing, really. So it's so cheap. Yeah. It's so cheap. For Delray Beach, and again, if you look at a hotel venue or anywhere else, just trying to do something, this is like wide, great pricing. So. I don't know. Is 50% okay with everyone? It's a big discount.
Steep.
It is. It's like I was looking at 6,000 would be 3,000. For like.
Well, that would be commercial. So we already have the 50% discount for.
Right, I was just looking for the biggest number we had. I was just looking at the biggest one with discount.
I think I think just giving up maybe up to 50%, and then if it's above that, do you want to see that, or if you want 100% waiving, then that comes to you.
Yeah, it comes to us. Or if it's above 50, it comes to us.
I was with Brian with the original comment of up to 50%, because that way you have the room to negotiate, and because you can look at a calendar and see what's going on around the city. If it's dead and we need it, we need to make sure that we grab it when we can, instead of waiting for a meeting to pass in order for you to make that decision.
Looking at all the costs, that's a total of a possible $3,000 discount on 6,000, and then for the non-for-profits, it's $1,500 on 3,000. So those are like my big numbers I'm looking at for the the discount, where it would be. It would just be in that one column, right? It wouldn't be okay. Yeah, so we're still getting the management fee. We're still getting
part two of that is, in order for us to make sure that we're not. And I would never assume that any of you would do this, but to make sure it's equitable and there's no discrimination that would come about because of a decision that's being made, we need to determine how a person would be eligible for a discount and why they would get it. Because I don't want to put you guys in any legal issue in terms of what groups come forward and say they want a discount. Did you raise your hand? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Maybe that was your microphone.
Maybe that's in the note on the report every month, just showing what the reason was.
I just don't want. I want to make sure you guys are covered.
Okay.
I would agree with that, Vera, and the comment that I have on top of that is that, do they really need it? If they don't really need it, do we have to give it away?
Yeah, that's already, again, our prices are very fair.
So can we adjust the annual rates to a discount rate based on the time of year? I mean, certainly that is really what we're talking about. So maybe we could adjust the numbers to on a discounted basis based on the quarter by quarter.
And the days of the week. The days of the week would be a factor too.
And days of the week too.
Again, that's why I just give them the leeway, because all of a sudden, like, guys, we're this is the DDA, right? We're in charge of clean and safe, we're in charge of parking, and we're like talking about which days to discount, which again, it's an important discussion, but I just like to give her that leeway, and if she puts the reason it's a Monday, then we understand.
Getting their direction.
Or it's summer, and again, we can come up with two different rates, but then it's just more of the same. So they're still going to ask for discounts and have to work with people. So that's why I kind of just checked.
Well, I think the big problem isn't renting the space. The big problem is the time it takes to get an approval for an event. Yeah. So by the time people identify what they want to do, it takes them maybe 4 to 6 months. By the time they get it, I mean, it's like crazy, right? Yes. So that has to be modified at some point.
So I can take this information and bring it back as a formal proposal to you, or formal outline that we could make it simpler and share that. But take the feedback, which is great. And I like we've days of week has been something that we've considered because people do look at this and it is emptier traditionally, or it's a lighter use, if you will, a lecture series versus or a lunch or a training versus a wedding, right?
You can have a whole Chinese menu if you like, you know,
so,
click on the box,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, a lot of and this is molded from other areas as well. So that did come from other locations, but we'll bring back take your recommendations and bring back
as long as it's more expensive in season
outline.
Then I'm all for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, just so you guys know, when we were talking, I met with Laura on our one-on-one. I mean, I think we generated last month like $35,000 out of this space. And again, just hearing this meeting, I think our shows, when we have a show, it generates $4,000 to $5,000, including consumption and all that stuff. So again, if you're doing 4 shows a month and you're making $20,000, or you're renting out the Playhouse and you're making $30,000, it's just like there's some financial stuff we want to look at in this as well.
And then just with these rentals do come the administrative part of it, which we don't charge an administrative fee, which the fee is covering that administrative part of it. So the team spends hours with applicants even before they even sign the agreement on space, on the requirements, the plans. So there's a lot of pre-work that happens before the actual day. So that is something that that range of fee is, we want to make sure that part continues to be covered. So
I see the Old School Square rental revenues here. Were there any that were given away that we didn't charge for, that didn't make it on the list?
No,
I was just
not
curious.
on our rental.
Because I didn't see any zeros, so maybe we never did, which is fine. Just asking.
Okay, thank you for your discussion. That's good. And I think that was the last item for new business.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta find my agenda and send all my paperwork. Oh, here it is. I've got it, guys. Moving on. Laura, do you have anything you want to cover as DDA executive?
Sure. Thank you. I just wanted to say formal welcome to our new board members, and as we move into our year or summer of planning, next week we have on July 19th. Ironically, and I didn't know if any other board members from last year realized that this is the same day we did our planning last year. And I want to say thank you to the team for putting everything together that they do for today's meeting, as well as just the hard work that everybody does. But we are looking forward to next Friday to dive into discussion around our priorities of this current year, and as we move into next year's plan and funding along with that. So we will be sending you some documents just to prepare for, get your brains wrapped around it and get started. But we'll have the meeting's going to be informal, so come casual. It's the Fairfield Hotel conference room. We're going to have some light refreshments and get you out before lunch. So we just look forward to that. And I think the other thing I wanted just to mention that we haven't discussed, but we work closely with the Discover the Palm Beaches, our tourism bureau of the county, and they are launching their tourism master planning session. They're doing a tourism master plan for Palm Beach County. They were in Delray yesterday, just a brief conversation with the consultant that's doing that, and really looking at the destination for the next 20 years as a tourism destination. So it's really important for us to keep that. We are a tourism destination, and keeping that as in the forefront of what our resort downtown looks like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and who we are catering to as a demographic and as it changes and as we evolve. So we'll get the county here to present to you all, because we are a big part of that conversation and helping guide that for the entire county. We're a very strong destination. Sorry, for South County for sure, but for the entire district, having a main street that connects to the beach running right from the beach to the interstate is a gem that we have. So,
Did they read our master tourism report?
they have all that information. Yes, they do.
It's always
Yeah.
a good place to
Yeah.
start since the
No.
city spent, $40,000 on that one.
They have all that information, and they'll be getting more. I mean, it was a really brief conversation starting that, and we'll be working really closely with them. But I do want them to present to you all as the importance. They have a new CEO this year, and Milton, he's amazing. So just want to get him in to meet with you all. So, but that's all I have. I know you all have some comments too as well. So, thank you.
Quentin, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do not have anything to add for today. I know coming up next month I will be sitting in on the one-on-ones with Mr. Van Arnhem and Mr. Knight to go over a little bit of the Sunshine Law and ethics. I know you did some ethics training already, but just a little bit more from the Sunshine standpoint.
I have a question. Sorry. Fortunately and unfortunately, I've been on boards for the county and the city here, Delray, for many, many years, so forth, and look forward to our getting together, so forth. But one of the things in the application process was how do you identify if someone's actually paying the 1% mill as part of their lease or whatever else? And I thought it was kind of interesting because I've been a property owner in the downtown. I'm not currently a property owner in the downtown, but I've leased in the downtown for 20 plus years. My previous, maybe even 30 now, 91 was when I first moved to Linton and Federal and then to the downtown. But my previous lease was with Michael Weiner at the 10 Southeast First Avenue building there, and it was a gross lease. And so I paid X dollars per month. I have 3 spaces in George Brewer's building right now where the DDA used to be, and I pay X dollars their gross leases with sales tax on top of it. Well, these landlords don't go to a separate pocket and say, well, I'm not going to pay the DDA's 1 mil out of that. I'm going to pull it out of my slush fund to travel with or something like that. So the reality is, if you're a tenant and you have a gross lease in the downtown, Brian, I'm sure, understands this quite well, being in the business, your part of your rent is going towards the real estate taxes, towards the insurance, towards maintenance of the building, roof, etc., and the DDA 1%. So I think it's a little confusing how to separate it and say, well, it has to say line item in the lease, because gross leases started in Miami years ago, and there's still even some other places that have it, but typically the Class A office buildings have a net lease, so forth. But even those net leases don't necessarily line item every single tax out of there. So I would hate to take away a business or somebody that's been here and contributes toward this DDA 1% and so forth. So I'm just hopeful we can figure that out as we go through everything. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, I exactly. Yeah, that'll be part of your conversations with Lynn on the process. Right?
So I'll be high level in the discussion on this. I think the process can be better as far as how you described it. I agree that that's a difficult thing to comprehend for most people, that it doesn't say you hereby are paying taxes on this property. A portion of your rent or what have you goes to taxes, etc. What we've asked for as a solution would be a separate DDA application. It wasn't enough time in this cycle to go through that process in order to see whether or not the city would be willing to do that. That would be the desire of the DDA, so it's clear, because every application is kind of together, so it's very confusing, I think. And some people, every lease is different, and obviously there's portions of your lease that you don't want to be made public, so it's kind of difficult to understand that sometimes when you have a application that's really built for everyone. So we would like to have our own application so that it's clear and that it can be explained in a little more simple terms what you need in order to comply with the statute for being a tax qualified member. So I agree with you. Every lease, like I said, is different. Some are very articulate and detailed, some are not, and it doesn't have to be. It's just whoever owns the property, they can write the lease however they want to their potential tenant. And the, you know, as far as what the statute requires, it doesn't require any specific language. It just says that they have to, the individual has to be a tax qualified individual. So it doesn't say the lease has to say X, Y, and Z in order for you to be qualified. So the statute doesn't provide that level of detail. So it's very important that we kind of continue to work with the city to continue to modify that process.
Thank you. We can talk offline because I don't want to take up the board and all these people's time.
I totally appreciate you asking that, because we have on the Avenue a store called The Collective. Basically, there's a bunch of smaller vendors that rent space from a larger store, and they receive a lease for that space. So they pay like $275, $300 for a bookshelf, and they put their products on it. So in your lease not your lease, but in the lease agreement, it doesn't specifically say that they would be paying towards the $1 million, but to your point, they are, because they're renting, and that money from the pot would then go to pay for that tax. So that the language just in that scenario would allow one of these small little glass vendors to actually sit on this board. So what does it look like going forward? Not that I want to exclude them. I think small and micro businesses do have a place, but what are we trying to exclude those types of businesses and only people who have brick and mortar with an address? Because, you know, what's the difference between them and somebody getting cheaper rent? You know, so do you have to have the large building, 1,300 square feet, and that's your rental? Or could it be the bookshelf with the person who's paying monthly for their space within a brick and mortar?
Well, you're asking a couple different questions there. There's a qualitative question about whether or not they have enough, stake in the downtown. Because if you have a bookshelf, your stake as a business owner might not be the same as someone else, and that's something that will get evaluated versus you having a more substantial portion of the downtown, which is, that's a qualitative standpoint. But from the quantitative standpoint of how much tax you need to pay, the statute doesn't say that you have to pay X percent of the property tax for that whatever property you're qualifying for. So it could be a minimal number of taxes. But to your other question, and this is where some of the issues arise, is due to the varying nature of the leases, it's not very clear sometimes in a lease whether or not it's a triple net lease, whether it's you're just paying for your space and nothing else. So sometimes there needs to be some clarification on whether or not your lease payment is contributing to that tax. And sometimes that's not clear, and that's been part of the problem. It's not something that's an easy one to solve because we can't control how leases are written from the city standpoint nor the DDA standpoint. So that's one of the issues that I know the city's had, and I appreciate that as a difficult thing to grasp, because you can't always tell sometimes just by looking at the document whether or not that particular tenant is paying taxes or whether they're not paying taxes. Typically they probably are, because a property owner is probably not going to, and Brian's smiling at me, going to take on that extra burden when they can pass that cost through to the tenant. But sometimes it's just not clear on the face of the document, and that's all we can go by unless we go behind that sometimes. So that's the balance that we have to strike. how far behind these documents do we want to go in order to qualify an individual to serve on the board as a tax
It's
qualified
really, that
individual?
falls under the city's purview, so it's not even necessarily our purview. We
But
like to
it's-
have a say, but
It's also in our bylaws. That's where like the specific language is. Does it not say about they're required to pay taxes thereon?
Yeah.
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 That's
So I
part
mean,
of the
that's
statute.
such specific language that it kind of brings up the point we're talking about. That maybe we
Uh,
need to
well, that's-
generalize that a bit more.
That's
Well, that's part of the statute. That comes from the
Right.
statute.
Okay.
it just says they have to pay them, say,
Taxes thereon.
yeah.
right. It doesn't.
It says a
It's-
leasee
that's-
required
that's-
by the lease. That means it
But
would
that-
state in the lease that they're required
Well,
to pay
that,
DDA taxes.
it can mean that, but it can also mean that
So
you know
he was saying, so if the lease says it's a gross lease, but they're, you know,
It
doesn't
doesn't
mean
say
the
that
landlord's
specific
not paying
language.
taxes with the rent money coming in.
Okay.
Right.
It's just not designated CAM and rent.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's the difficult.
You better get an amendment done with your landlord that says you're paying your the 1%. You know, I mean, it can be resolved pretty easily because if it's happening and they just need to amend the
And
lease,
that
then
and that's
rectify it.
partly why, and I'm glad you bring up the bylaws. That's partly why I added into the bylaws that prior to the process for filling out the application, if we don't get a separate application, we can work through some of these issues. So you can go to your landlord and say, "Hey, I'm trying to get on the Downtown Development Authority, and I have to have this set forth in my lease." You can do whatever you need to do in order to show that your lease qualifies.
Or even a letter, just
Or
even
a
probably a letter saying, yeah,
What-
he
whatever-
pays-
That's what I
he pays
did.
rent.
I did it with an email through
whatever
George.
whatever you need to do
It's
in
just
order
some
to
kind of
do
comment.
that. So we build in some time
And that's
to address
done
that
before
issue.
you submit your application, right?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Before
So
you
that's
submit.
that's why we have that process now where, you know, individuals who may be interested in joining can get some of those questions before we get to a point where you're on an agenda and then there's questions raised after the fact. So
That'd be nice. Who else? Any other comments from our board members as we're going? Vera, are you done? I don't want to interrupt any.
I was just asking the question for the bookshelf people.
Yeah. So technically, yeah.
Do you have any
And
board
again, the city
comments?
would be putting them on the
I
board.
thought we were going to start down there. Go ahead, Aaron, because I need to go and read mine.
Okay.
4th of July. We have a lot of vendors, a lot of food trucks. We talked about this yesterday. I know from the bridge to A1A, we have over 10 restaurants and clothing stores and stuff like that. We have a mini donut shop, and then on the 4th of July just passed, we had a mini donut food truck, right? So is it possible that we can maybe get an idea or see who's going to be on the strip, or if we even have to have a food trucks and everything, since we have all the business right there to take care of it, because the 4th of July is our last hoorah, right?
Right.
So all the old school square events don't help me or any business on the other side of the bridge. So I would like to know if we could possibly talk to the commissioner or whoever's in charge, Parks and Rec, to see if we can maybe isolate that more to our businesses, as opposed to bringing people who come in for the night and then go to the next hoorah. So did I say that right?
Yeah.
Right. So we met yesterday during our one-on-one with Aaron, just around. So Cafe Luna Rosa, obviously 4th of July, they have traditionally done a restaurant
Over 20 years, yeah.
with 50 Ocean and Boston's to do set up additional seating for the restaurant. The event itself gets close to 30,000 people. Traditionally, there's not enough. You'd love for them all to come to your restaurant, but it's probably not possible. So, but I do know that with with food trucks, and that is something that we've got constantly. We want to, or food vendors. We want to make sure that there's a balance, right? The vendors should not be covering up or competing with the brick and mortar. That's been a goal for the DDA, and we'll work with you, take the feedback that you gave, and working with the Parks and Recreation team as we plan for future events, both beachside and other street events. So I think that is just to be mindful of what's there, especially competing business. Haagen-Dazs in front of Ben and Jerry's, it's not ideal.
Big house.
Yeah, or retail, selling the same clothes. And that's happened before in the past. with past events where retailers selling same wares or in front of retail brick and mortar, they're paying thousands of dollars in tax. So, but we'll bring that to their attention and look how we can be more involved or help prepare better for that in the future.
Because we have enough in our community to take care of ourselves as it is.
Yeah, we need to get them prepared and have them be involved and give them opportunity to be out, maybe set up similar to the way you do if that's part of the event and it's ability to do that. Because others, Sazio, La Boheme, those could have a similar setup.
Yep.
And take on more capacity if they desire. Right?
If they desire, at least give us the first right of refusal or something.
Sure.
Anyway, we could work out all the logistics, but and then the other one was when Frances from Old School Square came here last DDA meeting. I had maybe I didn't pay attention. I had no clue that she had been doing it for as long as she did. That board.
Since 1986, yeah. She and my father put the foundation together.
That's long. I had no idea. So I just wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Long and Burns for pointing that out when they were trying to give him a second chance. So I think it was deserving, but it is what it is because it seems like it's just more personal than it is business, and it's really crippling. So we need to get all this stuff squared away because it's getting silly now. It's embarrassing. So that's it.
Thank you.
I'm all set.
Thank you.
I've gone over my time limit.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I have a couple items that I'd like to introduce and put on the agenda for our August 12th meeting. The first item includes the amendment the Florida corporation which the DDA acquired from Pineapple Grove Arts District and recently renamed as the Old School Square Foundation. There's a great advantage to the DDA having a separate but related Florida nonprofit corporation with tax-exempt status in order to maximize the programs and funding streams accessible to it. For that reason, the original Pineapple Grove Main Street nonprofit, organized in '94 to manage the second Florida Main Street program in the city, later renamed the Pineapple Grove Arts District after the Florida Main Street program lapsed and was acquired by the DDA. On April 23, Pineapple Grove Arts District was renamed by the DDA as the Old School Square Foundation, and on 2/24, restated articles of incorporation were filed with the state. The DDA attorneys should immediately rename the established Florida nonprofit corporation, which is tax exempt, as the DDA Foundation or some other name not tied to Old School Square, so it can be leveraged to obtain grant funding for many DDA projects across the entire DDA district. Examples include, but are not limited to, a Florida Main Street program for the West Atlantic section of the DDA district and or pursuit of a variety of grants to benefit any and all DDA programs and or activities which require an eligible applicant to be a nonprofit corporation with tax-exempt status. This should be placed as an agenda item for discussion on August 12th at the next DDA board meeting. The second item includes the mayor has been very vocal, very clear, in addition to a few other commissioners. They've made a priority of regularly stating at city commission meetings and elsewhere that the DDA is not the city's preferred entity to manage and operate the Old School Square campus for the long term. Accordingly, the DDA board must start discussing the timing and logistics of an exit strategy from the DDA, from the Old School Square, which is the interlocal agreement with the city, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, I would like to have these items put on the agenda for discussion at our next scheduled meeting. I think a lot of the problems and a lot of the difficulties we're having right now is the understanding of what the responsibilities of the DDA are as it relates to the old school square, particularly the amphitheater. And I think that some of the thoughts are that our focus needs to be more on the development, particularly when we look at the West Atlantic district, which has, for years and years and years, this is our gateway. This is our path from 95 to Swinton. The thought of putting containers on Atlantic Avenue in the middle of our beautiful gateway is like disturbing. Anyway, I suggest that we have put these items on the agenda so we can begin these discussions. They just need to be put on the table, and we need to see where we all feel and how the city feels. Thank you.
Any other board discussion on adding the agenda items?
I do. I walked in here, I stayed outside, and I prayed. I hear you. But the containers can be beautiful, just so you know. I attended all those meetings, and there is a container conglomerate in Long Beach, California, where I'm from, called Steelcraft, and it's very profitable and it's very nice. But everybody has an input. I just prefer something instead of nothing, and I think that's where I was when I spoke about that container situation in a previous meeting. I am going to take the shortcut. I just wanted to talk about some window clings to help us to market. You did such a beautiful job with this, but I didn't know if we had done created window clings that we can put in the storefronts. Because usually you guys call me so that I can be like the foot traffic to go and deliver those. So you have them.
And we have new brochures. So
okay, and you have those as well. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to talk to, which is an issue for us to consider. I had the notion to go and interview some of the management companies of apartment buildings that are in our area, not just downtown, but in our area, because downtown mostly is ownership, not necessarily rentals unless they're individual. And the pricing for a lot of the rentals in our area have gone up, but they are starting to offer 1 month free or workforce housing incentives. And so the pricing in that sense is coming down. However, I'm not certain in downtown that is reflective, but I think we need to figure out a way so that maybe we can have the housing authority people come and speak to us about what housing looks like downtown. Because I think that in terms of the west of Swinton neighborhood is something that we need to have just a short dialogue about how we can support those citizens and residents that may be struggling in that neighborhood to hold on to their rental or their their housing, something of that nature. I know that probably would also fall under the CRA, and maybe we can loop them in as well, but I'm very concerned after visiting those apartment buildings. I went to 2 of the newer ones on Congress, and then I went downtown and talked to some folks that were renters, and the price of a 2-bedroom now, we're upwards of $3,000 in some cases, which is a lot. $3,000 is a lot, and it's a tipping point for a lot of people. So I just want to make sure that we can keep our residents in place, and also so that some people can age in place. So those are just some of the things that I've been thinking about lately and how we can help.
All right, well, I think I don't really have anything to add on anything. I think it's been a good meeting, and we've covered a lot. So, I think we're going to head and adjourn it. I know he mentioned 2 things to bring up on the agenda.
Sure. So we do have our meeting next week. So I think that there's opportunity to have discussion around potentially those items at our workshop planning session for the coming year, because these are planning items. I think also understanding a little bit more background on some of those items would be great. or especially the foundation piece as it relates to the why. But I appreciate the comments and your feedback, and look forward to next Friday.
All right, with that
Anything
being
else?
said, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Motion